Chapter 39-48. We don't dare to go in, but we can wait here, right? Yes, he can't stay in there forever. He'll definitely come out. As long as he's out of the Yin-Yang Hall, his strength won't be so terrifying. They started to wait outside the Yin-Yang Hall. The four halls also received the news. Those who were cultivating inside were also in an uproar. In the heavenly hall, in the endless sea of lightning, a figure opened his eyes. Lin Wuti, you've obtained the power of Yin and Yang. He couldn't wait any longer and came out of the sea of lightning. This person was Lei Zhen. He wanted to continue cultivating, but he wasn't in the mood now. Lin Wuti became stronger again and obtained the power of Yin and Yang. He couldn't eat or sleep well. He had to find Lin Wuti and kill him quickly. He heard that Lin Wuti was severely injured. He rushed out of the heavenly hall and came outside. His powerful aura made people tremble. God, that's Lei Zhen. He's so strong. The thunder on his body has become even more terrifying. I heard that Lei Zhen also obtained a great opportunity in the heavenly hall. Looks like it's true. God, his aura has reached the advanced stage of the fifth heaven. The people around him screamed in fear. Previously, Lei Zhen was already so violent when he was at the intermediate stage of the fifth heaven. It wasn't a problem for him to fight a sage at the advanced stage. Now that he's a sage at the advanced stage of the fifth heaven, how strong is he? Compared to the past, there had probably been an earth-shattering change. Where's Lin Wuti? Lei Zhen asked coldly. The people from the Thunder God City were there too. They rushed out of the crowd. He's still in the Yin-Yang Hall. Senior brother, why don't we go in? Someone suggested. Someone shook his head. No, that kid has obtained the power of Yin and Yang. He's like a god in the Yin-Yang Hall. Senior brother, why don't we wait here? He'll definitely die if he comes out. Alright, we'll wait outside. Lei Zhen didn't dare to go in rashly. After all, some of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain had died. He would be suppressed if he went in. In the Earth Hall, the North Demon was delighted when he heard the news. When the 9 Qilins heard the news, their faces darkened again. He walked out of the blood pool and the primordial projection behind him merged with his body, causing the light of the nomological laws on his body to become even more resplendent and terrifying. His cultivation had also broken through to the late 5th heavenly layer. Lei Zhen has already gone to the Yin-Yang Hall. Should we go too? If Lei Zhen obtains the Yin-Yang source energy, it will be disadvantageous to us. A few great demons in front of him spoke in deep voices. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Lin Wuti? He had good fortune, but so what? He had good fortune, so did I. There was a strong sense of confidence in his eyes. We're not in a hurry. That Lin Wuti killed so many saints, he's probably heavily injured. We'll be in the Yin-Yang Hall for a long time. If we go now, we'll just be wasting time. Then we'll go and keep an eye on them. We'll take action when there's news. The great demon said. The eyes of the 9 Qilins glinted coldly. He must be severely injured, so we have to act immediately. Where's the beast of the void? The beast of the void is in the human hall, and a great demon said. Hurry up and find him. Let him open the space and send us directly to that kid. I'll kill him while he's injured. They acted quickly. In the human hall, the dark red divine dragon, Murong Qingqing, and the others were also shocked when they heard the news. That kid might be in danger, so they had to hurry over. They stopped cultivating. They all prepared to rush over. Some of the sacred cities were gnashing their teeth in anger. They had lost so many saints and experts. Their hearts were bleeding. Especially those from the Wanjian Pavilion. When they heard that Huofeng and 2 sword saints of the 7 swords of Tianshan had been killed, they were completely enraged. Damn it, Lin Wuti, is he courting death? No one has ever dared to provoke them. Should we report this to Senior Brother Wan? Someone asked. One of the figures stepped out and said coldly. There was no need. Senior Brother Wan's enemies were only those on the pilgrim roll. She didn't need to worry about Lin Wuti. Yes, that's right. We can deal with him. Another figure stood up. The sword chi on his body was unparalleled. It seems that some people have forgotten the prestige of the Wanjian Pavilion. Gather all the people we can. It seems that it's time for us to act again and destroy everything. These people were filled with killing intent. Soon they began to act. They gathered the other sword saints of the Wanjian Pavilion. They wanted to use the most powerful method to kill Lin Wuti. Outside Celestial Fate, some of the elders of the sacred cities were waiting there. They didn't know what was going on inside. Yes, it had been a few years. They should have gained some fortune by now. Don't worry, they must have. Didn't those who came out become much stronger? Some even soared into the sky. The elders chatted and discussed with each other. All they had to do was wait silently. However, on this day the situation changed. Some of the elders screamed. How was that possible? It turned out that they weren't just waiting this time. They had also brought some souls with them. These souls retained a wisp of their soul when they entered celestial fate. As long as their soul tablets were intact, it meant that they were still alive. However, on this day their soul tablets shattered on a large scale. Damn it, what was going on? This meant that a large number of people had died inside. And at the same time, could it be that something unexpected had happened inside? Or did someone rise up? Impossible. Even if someone rose up, they couldn't have killed so many people. I think that something unexpected must have happened. Perhaps some of the terrifying creatures in the ancient ruins had been resurrected. The elders' expressions were ugly. They didn't know how many people would die inside this time. They didn't know that this wasn't the work of a monster, but a person. However, they would have to wait until the celestial fate star opened to find out. When that time came, no one knew how many of the sacred city's experts would be able to come out alive. The atmosphere in the Golden Palace was very tense. However, the inside of the Yin Yang Palace was extremely strange. Because the inside of the Yin Yang Palace was empty, and there was no one around. There was only one person who was busy there. He was eating the golden rock. 2 huge roasted wings were there, and the figure began to eat. It was Lin Xian. He had killed so many experts before. He was also heavily injured, so he quickly recovered here. Fortunately, he had the longevity art and his divine body, so his injuries healed quickly. However, there were still some injuries that needed to be healed. Lin Xian thought of the golden rock. The golden rock was a top expert. Its flesh and blood could heal his injuries faster. It was even more useful than treasures. Chapter 39-49. Without another word, Lin Xian began to roast the golden rock. The energy inside was converted by his longevity art and began to repair his body. Finally, the 2 huge roasted wings were finished. Lin Xian burped. The multicolored light on his body flew out again. He activated the Taiji art and absorbed the Yin and Yang Qi again. He sat down cross-legged and began to repair himself. Not long after, he actually finished the huge roasted golden rock. It was really unbelievable. One had to know that he was not inferior to the Golden Crow Prince. Back then, when they ate the Golden Crow Prince's roasted meat, many of them ate together, but they only ate half of it. But now Lin Xian had single-handedly taken care of one. Of course, there were 2 possibilities. Firstly, Lin Xian's strength had increased and he could carry more energy. Secondly, his injuries required too much energy to heal. That was why he ate one alone. After eating, 70% of his injuries had healed and some of them were fine. Lin Xian did not go out. He wanted to adjust his body to its peak state before going out. Moreover, he knew that there must be a storm outside. Who knew how many people were fighting to kill him? He might as well wait here. Perhaps he could counterattack. In the following days, Lin Xian began to recover and cultivate again. However, on this day the void behind him suddenly shattered, and a few palms reached out and hit him. Some of the palms were shining with terrifying light, and some were holding sacred artifacts. Lin Xian was sent flying by the attack. His body was shattered once again and golden blood flowed out of his wounds. What was going on? Lin Xian was in great pain. He was extremely shocked. Did someone sneak in to kill him? Who was it? Why didn't he know at all? His soul instantly probed out, but he was stunned because he realized that there was nothing in that place. It was chaos. How was that possible? Lin Xian was shocked. But all of a sudden, the void behind him was torn open again, and a few more palms carrying sage artifacts struck out. This time Lin Xian had a defense, so he activated Taiji to resist. At the same time he retreated. Boom. The Taiji diagram was sent flying, and Lin Xian's blood was boiling again. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Damn it. Lin Xian's face was completely gloomy. Spatial God art. It wasn't that there was no one, but they had used a super law like spatial God art to deal with him. He had encountered such a situation before. Demon City? Lin Xian instantly recalled that there was a beast with spatial God art in Demon City that had attacked him. Back then Black Mountain had said that it should be the Void Beast. Now it seemed like it was the same Void Beast. However, its power was much stronger than before. After sending the Taiji diagram flying, the spatial rift disappeared again. The surroundings were quiet. No one knew where the next attack would come from. Lin Xian was standing. There was a huge crack on his back. His bones were shattered and his flesh was badly mangled. At this moment he was using the second stage of Yin Yang to repair it. It was 2. Fortunately the other party was a little late. After he had just after the battle to fight. He might really be in danger. Now he had eaten a golden rock. His injuries had already recovered by 80%. Therefore, even if he wasn't at his peak, he still had the strength to fight. However, the other party's spatial god art was too strange. Lin Xian placed the Taiji diagram. Floating. He struck down the yin and yang qi. It enveloped him. At the same time, the Fecta god art released a light that swept in all directions. However, at this moment, under his feet, a spatial crack appeared. Terrifying rays of light and laws surged out from the crack and rushed towards him. Lin Xian moved horizontally. However, he was still enveloped by the energy. He blocked it. Lin Xian's body bloomed. At the same time, the Taiji diagram rotated. The Taiji diagram directed all of this power to another space. Lin Xian dodged. However, his expression became even colder. Damn it. In the next moment he began to use the void escape and disappeared. However, his void escape was only an ordinary spatial god art. It was useful against other saints, but in front of an expert who was proficient in spatial laws, his void escape was still not enough. As expected, the other party found him again. He was beaten out of the void. Damn it, these people were too sinister. There were clearly several experts, but they actually used such a despicable method. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He had to break the other party's spatial god art. Otherwise, he was really too passive. Thinking of this, his nerves tensed up. Suddenly, he activated the Taiji diagram and released a terrifying yin and yang sword qi. The entire space was completely enveloped by him, sweeping through everything. The endless void shattered and turned into a black hole, but no one came out. It seemed that the other party's spatial god art was very strong. Originally, he wanted to shatter a space and let the other party out, but it seemed that the other party had dodged it. This method didn't work. It seemed that he had to think of another way. Lin Xian stood in the void, protected by the Taiji diagram. He wanted to fight, to defend and counterattack. He had already thought of a way. Just like that, after a period of time, a crack suddenly appeared above his head. Those terrifying energies poured down again, enveloping Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't dodge this time. Instead, he took out the Great Sage Pagoda in an instant. With a clang, he used the Great Sage Pagoda to defend. Although those people's attacks were powerful, the Great Sage Pagoda was an incomparable artifact of the Great Sage. These forces hit the Great Sage Pagoda, emitting an earth-shaking sound. This force was blocked. Not only that, Lin Xian even used the stellar transposition to repel this force. Lin Xian also seized this opportunity to send a few dragon-shaped sword qi into it. It all happened in the blink of an eye. Although the spatial crack was strange, it was still a little slow this time. Especially the appearance of the Great Sage Pagoda, it caught them off guard. That power caused their blood to churn. The spatial crack was a step too late. A few sword qi rushed in and immediately there were screams and blood dripped from the sky. However, in the next moment the spatial crack disappeared, and the world fell silent again. Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. If they were injured, then it would be easy to deal with. He activated the heavenly secret divine eyes and began to look around. However, he didn't find any aura of blood. It seemed that the other party's spatial divine ability was indeed very exquisite. Moreover, the person who attacked should be an expert. He must have cleaned up the blood in an instant. It made it impossible for him to pursue. However, so what? Lin Xian wasn't looking for those people's injuries at all, but the aura of the dragon soul. He used the great dragon sword soul to attack so the other party might not be able to destroy it in a short time. As expected, he felt the aura of the great dragon sword soul in a place far behind him. Furthermore, the distance between them was so great that he was stunned. Chapter 3950. Aren't these people too cautious? No wonder he couldn't hurt them when he shattered the entire space. The distance was too far. Lin Xian's face darkened. He didn't know who was scheming against him, but he had to fight back now. Although the distance was far, it wasn't a problem for him. Moreover, he used the Tai Chi diagram to change instantly. The yin-yang aura in the distance and the terrifying yin-yang sword pierced through that place. Lin Xian rushed over to Nine-headed Kailan, the void beast, and the others hid in the void. Their eyes were cold. They were the ones who attacked previously. Nine-headed Kailan summoned the void beast back and led the three demons on their way. The void beast's space mystique and bloodline were terrifying. Especially this time he had activated his bloodline and obtained a transformation. His space mystique was even more terrifying than before. Hence, he tore open the void with Nine-headed Kailan and the others. They were transported from the Earth Palace to the Yin-Yang Palace. And then it happened. What happened next? The few of them used their space mystique to injure Lin Wudi. They hid in the void and sneered. Lin Xin couldn't fight back at all. If this wasn't the Yin Yang Palace, Lin Xin would have been dead. Young master, this kid has obtained the Yin Yang transformation. He can control the Yin Yang aura around him. Moreover, the Yin Yang image gave us a sense of terror. The three demons said. Nine-headed Kylan's face was cold. Indeed, the Yin Yang diagram scared him too. Hence he said to attack. They kept attacking, but they didn't expect to make a mistake this time. Lin Xin took out a pagoda to block their attacks. The shockwave made their blood boil. Moreover, Lin Xin seized the opportunity to attack with a few streaks of sword chi, injuring one of the demons. Be careful. Nine-headed Kylan said coldly. This kid has a powerful eye technique. He wants to use blood to track us down. Don't worry, Your Highness. He won't be able to track us down. That demon quickly recovered from his injuries and wiped out all the blood. However, they still underestimated the aura of the Dragon Sword Soul. Lin Xin thought that he had recovered, but there was still a trace of the Dragon Sword Soul's 7 breaths. Hence Lin Xin found them. Boom, they felt the boundless sword chi slamming into the space around them, causing the space to shatter. Their blood boiled. What's going on? Have I been discovered? That was impossible. He must have done it randomly. The few of them were horrified. The Void Beast, on the other hand, activated its space mystique and left the area. However, in the next moment, a Taiji diagram ruthlessly smashed into their bodies. With a bang, several people fell out of the void with a blank look on their faces. What was going on? He was hit again. That was impossible. The Void Beast was also in pain. His body tumbled in the air and then disappeared. Nine-headed Qilin and the rest of the people who had been knocked out disappeared once again. Lin Xin withdrew the Taiji diagram, his face turning cold. Nine-headed Qilin and the people from Thousand Demon City. It was them. Lin Xin knew that once the news spread, these people would definitely make a move. But what he didn't expect was that the other party would directly use a spatial god art to teleport to his side. It seemed that this Void Beast was really a huge threat. He had to get rid of it as soon as possible. Golden light flashed in his eyes as he searched again. In the next moment he made a move. In the space, Nine-headed Qilin and the rest were extremely gloomy. Damn it, the other party had discovered their tracks. It was unbelievable. This kid must be dreaming. One of the Void Beasts gritted his teeth. The other two nodded as well. That's right. How could he find them? They wouldn't be injured anymore. Just as they finished speaking, they were sent flying, coughing up blood. How was that possible? The 3 Void Beasts were stunned. They couldn't believe it. They were on the back of the Void Beast. With the terrifying space mystique, the other party couldn't find them at all. However, the outcome was beyond their expectations. The other party had sent them flying again. Nine-headed Qilin's face turned cold. What was going on? He looked at the Void Beast. The Void Beast was in the sky. It said, I don't know. Maybe it sensed the blood from before? That's impossible. The Void Beast screamed, I've already wiped out the blood. Their bodies disappeared again, but not long after they were sent flying again. This time their injuries were more serious. Lin Xin directly swung the Great Sage Pagoda and attacked the other party. Since the other party had used such a despicable method, he didn't need to hold back. No, the other party was too evil. That pair of eye techniques could see through my divine ability. The Void Beast's face turned cold. To be honest, his bloodline had improved. His space mystique had become stronger than before. He could kill people like a ghost. Even a small saint might not be able to find his tracks. But now the other party had easily caught his tracks. Nine-headed Qilin's face turned cold. He said to the injured Void Beast, Leave us first. Your Highness, you won't abandon me, right? The Void Beast's face turned ugly. No, run away immediately after you leave. You don't have to participate anymore. The Void Beast heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as he wasn't used as bait. He didn't dare to go against Lin Wudi's power. He left the Void Beast and ran away crazily. The injured Void Beast was going to leave. This way the other party wouldn't be able to find them. The few of them thought. Sure enough, Lin Xin could feel the Dragon Soul's chi rushing out from the Void Beast and into the distance. Have I been seen through? His eyes were filled with killing intent. Since that's the case, I won't hold back anymore. Go. Yin and Yang sword chi fell from the sky and shrouded the Void Beast. With a loud boom, the Void Beast roared crazily. He wanted to resist, but he was instantly pierced by the Yin and Yang sword chi. Lin Xin didn't kill the Void Beast. The Yin and Yang sword chi turned into chains and hung the Void Beast in midair. Lin Xin's figure flashed and appeared in front of the Void Beast. He said coldly, Nine-headed Qilin, I see you. Not coming out? If you don't, this void beast will be tortured to death by me. Having said that, the laws of yin and yang circulated. The void beast screamed crazily. Damn it. In the void beast, nine-headed Qilin and the others' faces turned ugly. The two void beasts' eyes turned red. Damn it, how dare he attack us? Damn it, does he want to die? How dare he torture our companion? He deserves to die. Go and kill him. The two of them wanted to attack. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. They couldn't take it anymore. Nine-headed Qilin said, "Stop. This kid can control the power of yin and yang here. He's not someone we can fight against. Right now, we can only fight against him with our space mystique. We can't go out." Chapter 39:51. What? Nine heads Qilin, you don't have the guts to come out? Lin Xian sneered and continued to use Yin Yang 27 to torture the great demon. A pitiful cry could be heard. Nine heads Qilin's face turned cold. "I'll go out and attract that kid's attention. You guys attack from the shadows." He walked out. He said coldly, "Kid, let go of my people. You actually dare to come out." Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and waved his hand, chopping off the great demon's head. Then he looked at Nine Heads Qilin. "You will end up like you." Lin Xian rushed forward. At this moment, the void broke open and a terrifying power surged towards him. Lin Xian sneered. "I've been waiting for you." He took out the great sage pagoda and blocked the power. At the same time, he took out the great dragon sword soul and slashed forward. This sword was really too violent. The space was instantly sliced apart. The great void beast felt danger. It was as if the sword chi could threaten him. What kind of sword technique is this? His hair stood on end. He used his spatial mystique to the extreme and instantly shuttled through the void. Among the countless laws, space was the king. This was recognized by everyone. Therefore, the great void beast had absolute confidence that he could use his spatial mystique to dodge all attacks. He was in an invincible position. But this time he was wrong. Because even though he used his spatial mystique to dodge countless attacks, he was still unable to dodge. But he couldn't dodge Lin Xian's slash. No matter which space he shuttled to, the void would shatter and the sword chi would envelop him. With a slash, the sword chi slashed his body. Damn it. The heavenly void beast tossed the two greater demons on his body away. Then he went crazy. "Block it for me." The power of space distorted, trying to coax the sword chi to sleep. Boom. In the end, his bloodline power exploded and he escaped. But he was still injured. His tail was chopped off. The originally transparent tail was stained with blood and was instantly dyed red. Lin Xian's eyes lit up when he saw this. Good stuff. He let the great dragon sword spirit sweep up the broken tail and instantly rushed back. "Damn it, how dare you!" Nine-headed Qilin roared. He never thought that the void beast would actually be injured. This was simply too inconceivable. Furthermore, he absolutely could not allow the other party to obtain the heavenly void beast's corpse. If the other party had some method to study the spatial laws, then it would be bad. Therefore he attacked madly. The other two greater demons struck out swiftly as well. Instantly, all sorts of horrifying auras gushed out. Lin Xian roared. The Taiji diagram spun in all directions. The entire yin-yang hall seemed to have been activated by him. Countless yin and yang auras descended. The swords of yin and yang were indomitable and capable of destroying everything. Damn it, the two greater demons were instantly injured. Many sword wounds appeared on their bodies and they screamed in terror. The nine-headed Qilin was also affected, but his strength was much stronger than before, so he was able to block these attacks. However, it was only a passive defense. It wouldn't be long before he would be injured. Damn it. Just as the rumors said, the yin-yang hall was the enemy's territory. There was simply no way for them to contend against him. Without the spatial demonic beasts, their lives would be in danger. On the other side, the heavenly void beast had also gone crazy. He had never been injured before because no one could hurt him. However, his tail had been taken away by someone now. This was a great humiliation to him. He was a rare beast of heaven and earth, so he understood the spatial laws. However, there were also limitations. His body and bloodline couldn't be recovered as easily as other sages. After all, the blood of the spatial demonic beast was precious. Moreover, his skin could be made into a spatial weapon, so it was exceptionally precious. Therefore, once he was injured, his injuries could be healed immediately. However, his broken tail would take a long time to grow back. This was intolerable. He had to get his tail back. He only stopped the blood and completely hid in the void. This time he was going to use the power of space to kill his opponent. The space where Lin Xian was twisted strangely. The power of space caused his body to tremble violently. The yin and yang auras became frantic and restless. How dare you come again? Lin Xian snorted coldly and shouted angrily. Suddenly, a pitiful cry came from the space. The spatial demonic beast's body fell down and trembled non-stop. His originally transparent body appeared before everyone's eyes at this moment. Not good. Nine-headed Kylan's face changed and he rushed over. The two great beasts also had ugly expressions. What a terrifying black aura. This was the power of death. The other party should have the law of death. What? Nine-headed Kylan's face turned ugly after hearing this. Run. He couldn't care less anymore. He had to save the spatial demonic beast. This was the law of space. It was extremely rare. He couldn't let it die. Let's go. They took the heavenly void beast and left quickly. Lin Xian used the yin-yang sword and chased after them. In the end, all of them were injured. Even nine-headed Kylan had a terrifying sword wound on his back. He was almost cut in half. However, he didn't dare to fight back. He could only run for his life. Outside the yin-yang hall, everyone was waiting patiently. They were waiting for Lin Xian to come out so that they could stop him when he came out. Over the past day, they had sensed energy fluctuations in front of the yin-yang hall. Someone was coming. All of them stood up. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Some of them used secret techniques. Some of them took out their sage weapons. They were ready to attack with all their might. They wouldn't give the other party a chance to react. Moreover, they didn't doubt that the person who came out was Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was the only one who was still in the yin-yang hall. When the other party came out, they roared and attacked immediately. The sages attacked crazily. Lei Zhen and the other chief disciples were also among them. When all of them attacked together, it was extremely powerful. Those who came out immediately screamed in pain. Not good. The two great beasts' faces turned green. They couldn't withstand the attacks of so many sages. Damn it. I'm not Lin Wudi. Nine-headed Kylan understood what was going on. These people probably thought that they were Lin Wudi. Just as he shouted, his voice was drowned out by the energy in the sky. Those who attacked sneered. He wasn't Lin Wudi. Who were they kidding? Who else could it be other than Lin Wudi in the yin-yang hall? Everyone ignored him and attacked crazily. The other party wanted to bluff his way out. These people attacked even more violently. The front was completely drowned out. After a series of attacks, everyone stopped. The other party should be dead. That was for sure. Lei Zhen stood up. His eyes were filled with radiance. If he's not dead, I'll kick his head like a ball. The experts from the Demon City also stood up and sneered. They had so many experts attacking, but the other party was still alive. What a joke. Chapter 39:52. At this moment, more than 10 figures appeared in the distance. All of them were sword sages. Their auras were powerful. The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion were terrified. When the people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion saw this, they naturally understood that the kid had come out. Go. Without saying a word, countless sword chi slashed down. The scene in front of them was shattered again. After a long time, it slowly disappeared. Let's see how you die. They sneered. At this moment, everyone was paying attention. In front of them, the sword chi disappeared. The loss slowly dissipated. Blood stained the ground. The pungent smell of blood made people frown. However, when they saw the situation clearly, they were all dumbfounded. Why is there so much sage blood? The residue doesn't seem right. They frowned. Lin Xian didn't have any scales on his body. Why does it feel like there's a monstrous demonic aura? Could it be that it's not Lin Wudi? Thinking of this possibility, they quickly widened their eyes and looked in front of them. In the next moment they screamed. How did this happen? The experts of the monster city fainted. They realized that there were a few powerful demons in front of them. Moreover, one of them seemed to be their young master. Nine-headed Qilin. No way, the people they attacked just now were their own people. These people fainted. One had to know that they didn't hold back when they attacked just now. They wanted to kill Lin Wudi, but they didn't expect that they would kill their own people. The others were also stunned. What's going on? Didn't they say that only Lin Wudi was left in the yin-yang hall? How did the nine-headed Qilin and the other powerful demons enter? Everyone was shocked. They couldn't understand at all. Lei Zhen's face darkened. He was a little disappointed. After all, it wasn't Lin Wudi. However, it was a good thing that the nine-headed Qilin was killed. After all, both sides were competitors. The sword sages in the sky were cold. Isn't that kid still inside? At this moment, an incomparable scream erupted from the crowd. The nine-headed Qilin was killed by them. The other powerful demons were also killed. This was shocking news. Could the 1,000-demon city let this matter rest? So what? Who asked him not to reveal his identity? That's right, the monster city also took action. What right do they have to blame us? Some people were discussing. There were also people who sneered. The few great demons from the demon city also woke up, and they rushed forward as if they had gone mad. Young master, please don't die. Up ahead, the 2 greater demons who had come out with the 9-headed Qilin were already smashed into smithereens. Their Qilin souls had been destroyed, and they were deader than dead. There was no way they could be revived. Hence, they didn't even look at the 9-headed Qilin. The 9-headed Qilin's body was shattered and blood flowed out of it. There was no sign of life. The 9-headed Qilin was strong and he had made a breakthrough recently. He was strong enough to defeat everyone, but there were too many experts in the Yin-Yang Hall. Moreover, there were more than 10 powerful sword saints among them, including Lei Zhen. There were other chief disciples as well. These people originally wanted to make a move and kill Lin Xian. Therefore, no matter how strong the 9 Qilins were, they couldn't stop him. He was directly killed. Young master. The experts of the demon city went crazy. Their young master had really been killed. Although the 9-headed Qilin had 9 lives and wouldn't really die, it was still a huge price to pay for one of his lives. Why didn't their young master dodge? They couldn't understand. With their young master's strength, even if he couldn't win, it wouldn't be a problem for him to escape. Soon they saw the 9-headed Qilin carrying a beast in his arms. When they saw the beast covered in black runes, they understood. It was the Void Beast. The 9-headed Qilin was protecting the Void Beast, and that was why he was killed. At the same time, they understood why the 9-headed Qilin would appear in the Yin-Yang Hall. He must have cooperated with the Void Beast to assassinate Lin Xian. However, it seemed like he had failed. The Void Beast was in a bad situation. His life force was weak and he could die at any time. They quickly treated him. The experts of the Demon City quickly treated him. At the same time they waited. Not long after, an immemorial phantom appeared on the 9-headed Qilin's body. He originally had 9 heads, but Lin Xian had killed one of them. He already had 8 heads. Now he died again and the 8th head was smashed. Now only 7 heads were left. The aura of the 9-headed Qilin recovered and he came back to life. However, the moment he came back to life, he roared at the sky. Damn it. He was mad with anger. He had actually died again. He couldn't accept this. He had 9 lives, but the fight for the Great Tao was so dangerous. Even if he had 9 lives, he might not be able to reach the end. Not to mention that he had lost another life for no reason. He really died for no reason. He glanced at the Void Beast, who was being treated by their experts. He turned his head and stared ahead. You dare to attack me? You even dared to cause me to lose my life. Just you wait, I will definitely not forgive you for this matter. The Demon City won't let you off. The 9-headed Qilin roared crazily. His lungs were about to explode. The assassination didn't succeed, and the Void Beast was severely injured. Now he had lost another life. He was really angry. The people around felt their scalps go numb. It was over. The 9-headed Qilin would definitely kill everyone. Would they be able to withstand the revenge of the Demon City? These people all wanted to escape. However, at this moment, Lei Zhen stood out and sneered. Who allowed you to come out? We killed Lin Wudi. Who knew it was you? That's right. Someone sneered again. How would we know if you didn't tell us? Moreover, it wasn't just us. The people of the Demon City also attacked, and they were even more ruthless than us. Perhaps they were the ones who killed you. What right do you have to take revenge on us? The 9-headed Qilin's face darkened when he heard this. He suddenly turned his head and stared at the experts of the Demon City. The great demons had ugly expressions. They broke out in cold sweat and said awkwardly, "We really didn't know it was you." "Yes, young master. We didn't know you went in to assassinate Lin Wudi." The 9-headed Qilin spat out a mouthful of blood. He wanted to die. This time, in order to be quick and keep it a secret, he didn't call many people. He only called a few great demons from the Earth Hall. He also called the Void Beast over. He couldn't wait to assassinate it. He was afraid that a long delay would lead to trouble. Who would have thought that his originally good plan would end up burying him in a hole? Let's go. The 9-headed Qilin roared and took the lead to rush into the sky. Right now, he could only suffer in silence, unable to speak of his suffering. Let's go. The great demons of the Demon City brought the Void Beast and left quickly. Everyone was discussing why the 9-headed Qilin would appear here. Some were also worried that the Demon City would take revenge. In the Yin-Yang Hall, Lin Xian crossed his arms and looked at this scene. He was laughing so hard that he couldn't breathe. He had never seen such a ridiculous thing. The nine-headed Qilin had lost one of his lives. Chapter 3953. Serves them right. Lin Xian snorted. Then he turned around and went back in. Now he could tell that it was a dangerous place outside. The 9 Qilins were so terrifying, but they were all killed in an instant. If he went out, the situation wouldn't be any better. Even if he had the great sage, he would still be chased by countless people. It wouldn't feel good. I have to think of a way to leave quietly. Lin Xian looked at the tail in his hand and sneered. He heard from Black Mountain that the void beast was a spatial divine beast. Its fur had the power of space. If he could refine it, he could use the power of space to leave quietly. What happened outside the Yinyang Hall spread quickly. As for the Golden Palace, everyone in the 5 halls knew about it. They were in an uproar. The North Demon and the Dark Red Divine Dragon heard it too. They sneered. They were courting death. Serves them right. They dared to sneak up on them. Soon they frowned again. These people had gathered outside the Yinyang Hall to capture Lin Xian. The 9 Qilins were tricked this time. But what about the next time? Would Lin Xian be able to withstand so many terrifying attacks if he came out? Especially the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Another 10 Sword Saints came. The 20 Sword Saints together were incomparably powerful. Everyone was terrified. No, we have to find that kid quickly. Let's go to the Yinyang Hall too. The Dark Red Divine Dragon, the North Demon, Murong Qingqing, and Li Hongxiu all moved. Wang Xiaofeng and Gui Li, who were still outside, came too. They gathered and rushed towards the Yinyang Hall. Of course, they didn't go there directly. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if they were captured and used to threaten them. They hid in the dark and were extremely anxious. They didn't know how senior brother Lin was doing. They were worried about Water Sky City. It wasn't easy for these people to gather the Heavenly Dao Golden Lotus and enter as well. However, their strength had increased by leaps and bounds. After all, they were all top geniuses. Although they entered the Saint City late, they were able to obtain the opportunities inside. So they chased after Lin Xian. Stay in the dark and wait for us to go take a look, Li Hongxiu suggested. Indeed, it wasn't appropriate for Peerless City's people to show their faces. However, they weren't Peerless City's people and each of them had a special status. Those people wouldn't dare to act recklessly. The toad also cried out. Damn, this group of people is too despicable. I will drown them with ointment. They rushed out. The eyes of the people from the Yinyang Hall lit up when they saw them. They knew that these people were their friends from Lin County. Should they make a move? Upon closer inspection, they realized that although these people were Lin Xian's friends, they all had their own identities. Moreover, they weren't from Peerless City. For example, Li Hongxiu, the daughter of the Saint King, would you dare to attack her? These people hesitated. Lei Jun sneered. It didn't matter. Since they were here, it meant that that guy was really inside. As long as he came out, he would definitely die. These people waited even more patiently. Following which, the toad began to provoke them. Its mouth was truly too smelly, causing the faces of some experts to darken. Later, he began to hunt down the toad. However, the toad was very strong and was very familiar with this place. Even though it was being chased by dozens of people, it was still able to leave calmly. After a few days, the toad came back energetically. The saints were so angry that they gritted their teeth. The Dark Red Divine Dragon began to set up many arrays. After all, arrays were more useful in a real battle. He decided to set up some teleportation arrays to teleport the kid away. Murong Qingqing, Li Hongxiu, the North Demon, and the others were also worried. They were all waiting. However, at this moment, Lin Xian seemed to be very relaxed in the Yinyang Hall. He had an almost transparent beast skin in his hand. It kept rolling as he refined it with his godly fire. It was the beast skin of the void beast. Lin Xian chopped off a section of the beast's tail and peeled off the beast's skin. Moreover, he didn't waste any of the beast's flesh. He preserved it perfectly. These were all good things for him to study the spatial laws. He didn't have time to study them now, but when he had the chance, he would definitely take them out to study. Lin Xian refined the demonic qi on the beast's skin. Then he kept polishing it and imprinting his soul imprint on it. Before this, he had used the Great Dragon Sword Soul to clean it a few hundred times. He had already removed all the soul imprints on it. Now, the beast's skin was no longer connected to the void beast. He could use it without worry. Once he was done, Lin Xian draped the beast's skin over his body and disappeared in an instant. How magical. Lin Xian took out the Great Destruction Spear and put it on. Then he sensed it carefully. He couldn't sense it. The demonic qi on it had completely disappeared. It was indeed a good thing. The void beast was too amazing. It was really a divine beast. Indeed, it was really too good. It was like the darling of the heavens. For example, the nine-headed Qilin and the void beast had extraordinary bloodlines. Not to mention the old ones like the dragons, phoenixes, and Qilins. He should be able to go out. Lin Xian put on the beast's skin and walked out of the Yin-Yang Hall. When he came to the door, he hesitated for a moment. Then he walked out. He lingered outside. Seeing that something was wrong, he hurried back. However, he realized that after he came out, the people in front of him didn't react at all. They didn't notice him. That was great. Lin Xian was delighted. It seemed that the power of space had allowed him to hide completely. Lin Xian deliberately took a few steps forward and wandered in front of these people. In the end, no one reacted. Only Lei Zhen was puzzled. Endless thunder light burst out from his eyes as he tried to search. However, he didn't find anything. He retracted his gaze. Lin Xian secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Even Lei Zhen couldn't find him. It was impossible for the others to find him. He had to take a good look at who was targeting her. He was shocked. Apart from Wushuang City, almost all the big families in the Holy City had people here. Damn it, it was really something. But then again, it made sense. The origins of yin and yang were not any weaker than the laws of space. If he could get it, it would be terrifying. He remembered all these people. If he had the chance, he would kill them one by one. Not only did he see these people, but he also saw his friends. Dark Red Divine Dragon, Murong Qingqing, Li Hongxiu, Toad, and the others. These people were also here. This made Lin Xian's heart feel warm. He walked over and sent a voice transmission to Murong Qingqing and Li Hongxiu. Murong Qingqing was stunned. However, after hearing Lin Xian's voice transmission, she quickly calmed down. "Brother Xian, is that you?" Lin Xian said secretly. "It's me. Previously, nine-headed Qilin brought the void beast and crossed space to kill me. I killed him instead. I obtained a piece of the void beast's skin and refined it. Now, I'm using the power of space to sneak out. They can't see me." Looking for recommendations, monthly votes, subscriptions, collections, gifts? Chapter 3954. That's great. Murong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. Space mystique? That's a lot safer. Li Hongxiu was also surprised. She transmitted her voice to Lin Fan. "You're really surprising. Every time you do it, you'll cause a huge commotion." Lin Xian chuckled and transmitted his voice to the North Demon, asking them to bring the toad and the dragon away. When the dragon and the toad were taken away, they were very unhappy. "Fuck, what's going on? Are we going to retreat?" "No, I haven't scolded them enough." The toad clamored, but in the end, it was slapped on the head and dragged away. Then they met up with Shui Tiancheng and the others and left quietly. They went to a place far away where there was no one. The toad was unhappy. "Fuck, who hit me? Say, what's going on? Why are you suddenly retreating?" Shui Tiancheng and the others surrounded them. Before the North Demon could say anything, a figure appeared in front of them. "Naturally, it's because I came out." "It's you?" The dragon was shocked. The toad jumped high. "Fuck, I've seen a ghost." Shui Tiancheng, Shi Bufan, and the others screamed. They couldn't imagine that Lin Xian would suddenly appear. "What's going on? How did you come out? Why didn't I notice you at all?" The dragon was shocked. The others were even more shocked. Lin Xian said. Naturally, he swaggered out. He waved the transparent beast skin in his hand and then covered it up. Everyone realized that the candidate had disappeared. "Space mystique," Toad shrieked. "You actually mastered such a mystique. Didn't you say that you mastered the yin-yang laws?" The dragon was also excited. "That's right, kid. What's going on?" Lin Xian recounted the events that had transpired. When they heard it, they were shocked. It turned out that so many things had happened in the Yin-Yang Hall. It was really too dangerous. Only Lin Xian could come back alive. If it were Lei Zhen and the others, they might not be able to come out alive. Especially when they heard that Lin Xian was being chased by the Void Beast space, they were all infuriated. Fortunately, the Heavenly Void Beast had been wounded and one of the 9 scales had died. Meanwhile, Lin Xian had obtained a piece of Heavenly Void Beast skin. With this thing, it was equivalent to having spatial laws. Many people were envious. Lin Xian said that it wasn't that exaggerated. He could only hide his tracks and couldn't use spatial abilities. Indeed, spatial abilities were extremely terrifying. Apart from being able to hide one's tracks and teleport through space, there were also various other uses. Lin Xian had seen these when he was in the Gu family. That was the King Realm. If it was the law of space, it would be even more terrifying. Everyone nodded. At this moment, Li Hongxiu also spoke up. Indeed, if it was a Void Palace beast, it would be fine. A piece of beast skin could only save one's life. Let me tell you, There is a person who knows how to use the law of space and he is extremely terrifying. Everyone was stunned. Apart from the heavenly void beast, there was actually someone who knew how to use the law of space. Wasn't this too unbelievable? Once this was said, everyone was stunned. Even Lin Xian was shocked. There was actually someone who knew how to use the law of space. Then how terrifying was this person? These people were all very interested to hear the details. Li Hongxiu shrugged. I don't know either. I only know that there is an expert on the pilgrim list whose surname is Gu. His name is Gu Feng. Gu Feng. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be someone from the Gu family? Spatial abilities were extremely rare, and only a few people could grasp them. Apart from the heavenly void beast bloodline ability, the only other person who could do so would be the Gu family, a great emperor family. Moreover, this person's surname was also Gu. Gu Feng. His eyes flickered. He had never heard of this person in the quintessential world. However, great emperor families were extremely mysterious. They might not only exist in the quintessential world. There might be some in other places as well. In short, he guessed that it was very likely that Gu Feng was someone from the Gu family. If that was the case, then he would be a difficult opponent. The North Demon also said that he wondered how Gu Santong was doing. Yes, they also thought of Gu Santong. He was also a genius of the Gu family. Lin Xian thought of many things in an instant. Li Hongxiu said from the side. Forget it, you don't have to think about these things now. If you want to deal with those people, break through to the small saint realm first. Brother Xian, what are you going to do next? Murong Qingqing asked. I'm going to the Palace of All Life. I think it's time to condense the law of sword. I'll go with you. Murong Qingqing said. She had already strengthened her bloodline in the Palace of All Life. She wanted to go to the other palaces to take a look. All right. Lin Xian nodded. Li Hongxiu slapped the toad. Go your sister. Don't be a third wheel. The toad said, I'll go too. Damn it, it hurts. Tears flowed out of the toad's eyes. Then he said, Who said I'm going with this kid? The Palace of All Life is a good place. Can't I go alone? The North Demon also said, We can all go to the Palace of All Life. However, we can't go together. This way, even if there's danger, we can help as soon as possible. All right. Everyone nodded and followed this plan. As for Zishui Tianqing and the others, Lin Xian instructed them to be careful. Then he and Murong Qingqing snuggled up to each other. They put on the void beast skin and disappeared. Over at the Yin Palace, everyone was waiting with gritted teeth. However, they didn't know that Lin Xian had already left the Yin Palace. Now he was in the Palace of All Saints. If these people knew, they would probably vomit blood. There were more laws in the Palace of All Saints. Lin Xian sensed carefully and flew in the direction of the law of the sword. During this time he met some people. They were all powerful swordsmen. Some were even sword saints. The law of sword was very terrifying. However, everyone's law of sword was different. Some were fast and violent, while others had a destructive aura. However, without exception they were all extremely powerful. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing shuttled through the void quickly. The people around them didn't know that the two of them had arrived. They wondered who left behind the 5 halls of the Golden Palace. It was too magical. Lin Xian was also amazed. He wasn't sure. However, he thought that it must be someone incredible. Perhaps it was the Great Sage. Perhaps it was someone above the Great Sage. As for this secret, they probably couldn't figure it out. The two of them didn't argue. Along the way they snuggled up to each other and whispered sweet nothings. On this day there was a sudden roar in front of them. Heaven and earth trembled. A terrifying aura spread from afar. What happened? Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing stopped. They looked into the distance. Murong Qingqing's eyes were shining with rainbow light. Lin Xian's eyes were shining with golden light. The two of them were surprised. Chapter 39:55. In front of them light filled the sky, and a terrifying aura was vast and mighty. That was sword chi. It was unparalleled and shot straight into the clouds as if it was going to pierce through this world. Retreat quickly. Lin Xian sensed the terror of this sword chi and immediately retreated. He didn't know what it was, but it shouldn't be a human, because it was too terrifying. The two of them were very fast in the void and left in an instant. As soon as they left, the place where they were originally standing was shattered by countless sword waves, turning into a black hole of nothingness. After retreating a long distance, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief. Murong Qingqing's face was also cold. The law of the sword was really too terrifying. That's right. Lin Xian's eyes were also flickering. He looked around. In addition to the law of the sword, there were probably also the law of the saber and some very rare law types in this place. They could all be found here. He didn't know if he could find the law of space. Lin Xian was also looking forward to it. If there was a place where he could temper and comprehend the law of space, it would be great. Thinking of this, he was right. I have something for you. He took out half of the blood essence of the void thin and gave it to Murong Qingqing. Comprehend it well. You might fight with Gu Feng in the future. Even if you don't fight Gu Feng, you might encounter the void beasts. After all, the demon city would definitely not let this matter rest. In addition to these, Lin Xian also gave some of the things he obtained to Murong Qingqing. After Murong Qingqing received them, she also gave the things she obtained from the human palace to Lin Xian. Most of the things that Murong Qingqing obtained were evolved bloodlines. Lin Xian didn't have any bloodlines, but he still accepted them. He felt that they might be of some help to his divine body. Alright, there's another good thing. Lin Xian patted his head. He thought of something and took it out. What was this? After Murong Qingqing saw it, she was surprised. The aura of a phoenix. That's right, there was a fire phoenix in the Myriad Swords Pavilion who opposed me. Before she died, she underwent nirvana and turned into a phoenix stone. I think it should help you. This was great, it was indeed helpful. Murong Qingqing was overjoyed. Perhaps I can find out some of the Emperor clan's secrets from her. Wait, someone is coming. The two of them stopped talking and stood in the 9 heavens. A few streams of light streaked over from afar. These people were all sword saints, and Lin Xian recognized a few of them. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain, but not all of them. They were the 3rd and 4th of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain. The 2 of them were in an abnormally sorry state. Their bodies were covered with terrifying sword wounds. It was the same for the other sword saints. They were all injured. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the terrifying sword chi was caused by these people. There should be something incredible up ahead. These sword saints made a move. He must have activated the mechanism. He didn't know what it was, but if it could move these sword saints, it should be a good treasure. However, Lin Xian didn't make a move, because the sword chi in front of him was too terrifying. Even he couldn't resist it. Moreover, he didn't want to expose his identity too early. Otherwise, those people from the Yinyang Hall would kill him again. Hiding in the void, Lin Xian turned and left. Now, the most important thing was to condense the law of sword. After flying for a few more days, Lin Xian stopped. He realized that there was an extremely strong sword intent in front of him. It was the condensation of the law. He descended to comprehend it. He realized that it was some plants and vines. They had an unusually cold aura. He looked carefully and realized that these plants were all growing on the broken sword. The aura on the broken sword was too terrifying, so these plants also had a terrifying sword aura. Some of them even bore fruit. This should be the fruit of the sword. Lin Xian didn't make a move rashly, because this place wasn't too far from the place where the sword chi had erupted. Moreover, the remnant sword intent here was also very terrifying. If he activated some mechanism and attracted unnecessary trouble, it would be terrible. He waited. When the 7 swords of Tianshan made a move, he could make a move. At that time, everyone would pay attention to the even more terrifying sword chi and wouldn't pay attention to him. After waiting for 2 days, the sword chi in front of him surged into the sky again. The terrifying scene attracted the attention of countless people. It was a good opportunity. At this time, Lin Xian also made a move with thunder, because there was also a sword wave on his side. However, compared to the terrifying scene in the distance, he did a little better here, so it didn't attract too much attention. Half a day later, Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing left. They had obtained 100 fruits. Lin Xian was very satisfied with this. He immediately swallowed the 5 fruits and felt a sharp sword aura circulating in his body. As expected, the sword intent contained in these fruits was very terrifying. It was far more powerful than what he had seen in the outside world. He ate more than 20 fruits in one go. Then the sword essence in his body kept rushing out. Lin Xian began to comprehend here. Not long after, he finished eating the 100 sword seed fruits. He opened his eyes and sighed. It was a pity that he didn't condense the sword principle. From this, it could be seen that the sword principle was very difficult to comprehend. However, the effect of these 100 fruits was also very good. At least, Lin Xian's sword chi had become more terrifying than before. Lin Xian and the others returned. While waiting for the sword chi in front of them to fill the sky, they picked nearly 100 more fruits. After a few attacks, Lin Xian's sword chi increased rapidly. However, Lin Xian knew that these could only increase his sword chi. If he wanted to comprehend the true sword principle, he still needed other things. On this day, Lin Xian ate another 30 invisible fruits and prepared to comprehend. Not long after, there was a sudden roar in the distance. Endless sword chi rolled between heaven and earth. The phenomenon of heaven and earth was also emitting a red light. Had there been a change? Murong Qingqing's eyes flickered, revealing a look of surprise. She looked at Lin Xian and didn't say anything. She just waited. After waiting for half a day, Lin Xian opened his eyes. Murong Qingqing then told him what had happened. Lin Xian also stood up and looked into the distance. He also felt that there was a terrifying principle in front of him. Obviously there had been a change in front. Let's go and take a look. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing flew forward. This time they were not the only ones. There were also many powerful sages flying around at high speed. It seemed that the phenomenon of heaven and earth in front of them had attracted the attention of many people. Even before it arrived, Lin Xian and the others could already sense a fearsome surge of sword chi sweeping in their direction. The void beast skin on their bodies fluctuated with the power of space, causing them to hide their bodies. There were also some sages around them who stopped in their tracks. They shouted coldly and began to block it. Among them were sword sages and other sages. Obviously, these people all wanted to obtain the sword principle world in front of them. If they could condense the sword principle, then their attack power would be greatly increased. Chapter 3956. In front of them the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The void shattered. A huge stone tablet was faintly discernible, and it looked like a huge sword that reached the sky. The sword chi emitted from it was really terrifying. This should be the legendary place of the hidden sword. A sword saint looked up to the sky and laughed. He was really lucky. He actually saw the place of the hidden sword reappear in the world. The eyes of the surrounding experts were also burning with passion as they stared at the front. There was an extremely shocking law in front of them, as if it could easily split people in half. Finally, someone couldn't take it anymore. A sword saint turned into a stream of light and rushed forward. However, when he got close, he screamed and retreated in horror. Many wounds appeared on his body, and blood dyed his body red. He screamed in horror and ran back. The surrounding experts were also shocked. This was a sword saint in the fifth heaven, and he was very strong. It was really unbelievable that such a scene happened just because he rushed over. Bus, bus. More people came from afar. They came close, and their eyes emitted a piercing light, which shocked the surrounding experts. They were young geniuses. They felt that the sword chi on these young people was even more terrifying than theirs. They should be the 7 swords of Tianshan from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Many people's eyelids twitched. Indeed, Lin Xian also saw them. There were also a few familiar faces. After the 7 swords of Tianshan arrived, they also frowned when they sensed the aura in front of them. The eldest of the Tianshan sect's sacred weapon was extremely solemn. The second of the Tianshan sect looked around and asked, "Big brother, should we join forces with these people?" There was no need. The eldest of the Tianshan sect snorted coldly. They didn't take these people's strength seriously. The 7 swords of Tianshan were so powerful that they didn't even care about the older generation. More experts appeared around them, but they were a little far away. They formed an arc and appeared in the nearby void. Gradually, the scene in front of them became more and more terrifying. The sword chi was like a sea, and it was terrifying. Everyone was shocked. In the endless sword chi, the faintly discernible sword shadow was really shocking. It had an endless mysterious aura. They had to go over. These people's eyes emitted piercing light. Only by getting close could they obtain the sword Dao treasure. After waiting for another 2 days, the surrounding experts couldn't hold it in any longer. They were prepared to make a move. 3 long swords appeared behind a sword saint and enveloped him. They formed a triangle and cut through the void. The sword light that blossomed at this moment was incomparable. However, not too long after they charged out, cracks began to appear on the 3 saint artifacts. It seemed like they were unable to withstand the boundless sea of swords before them. Damn it, the sword saint was instantly terrified. The surrounding people were shocked. However, these people who dared to come here were all experts. Let's go. A tall man with fiery red wings on his back opened his mouth and spat out a war chariot. It was a blazing chariot. After he got on, the 2 people beside him also got on. The 3 of them tore through the void and rushed forward. The flames that filled the sky were attacked by the endless swords, but they were not damaged. The people in the distance shrieked. Their eyes were filled with envy. Let's go. On the other side, someone took out a golden cauldron. It kept getting bigger. Several figures stood up, tearing apart the void, rushing forward noisily. Everyone displayed their techniques one after another. Of course, some people's defenses were directly torn apart by the Sea of Swords midway and chopped into pieces. Their blood was dyed red and swallowed by the sword chi. It was extremely dangerous to go over. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain also had flickering eyes. Let's go. The eldest, second, and third brothers of Heavenly Mountain formed a sword formation and rushed forward. Endless snowflakes floated out of their bodies, forming a terrifying world of ice. Lin Xian didn't see the others. They must have split up. Seeing these people display their techniques, Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing also prepared to set off. Lin Xian didn't dare to use the Void Beast skin again. He was afraid that this spatial treasure would be damaged. After all, the Sea of Swords in front of them was too terrifying. He and Murong Qingqing rode on the Black Earth. They flew forward. Although the Black Earth wasn't as good as the Great Sage Tower, it wasn't an ordinary sacred artifact. Its defense was extremely terrifying. After entering the Sea of Swords, they felt the terrifying aura around them. Inside the Black Earth, Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing also had solemn expressions. They set up a formation and paid attention to the scene outside. Suddenly they discovered that not far ahead, a monstrous sword wave suddenly surged out. It enveloped the 3 of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain. What's going on? Is it an accident or did someone make a move? Lin Xian was surprised. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain also roared crazily. The eldest of Heavenly Mountain roared, and the sword chi on his body split open the sky. A blue sword light swept across the 9 heavens. The second and third brothers of Heavenly Mountain did the same. They all practiced the Heavenly Mountain sword technique, which belonged to the same power. Therefore, at this moment, the 3 of them performed the Heavenly Mountain sword technique together, forming a terrifying ice sword chi. They resisted the surrounding Sea of Swords. Then they turned into a huge blue sword that enveloped the 3 of them and moved forward again. Buzz. Just like that, everyone relied on their own strength. They charged towards the sword shadow in front of them. However, not long after, Lin Xian and the others felt a huge aura rushing over from behind. It was even about to collide with the Black Earth. The Black Earth and the Black Earth were like agile snakes. They instantly drew an arc and dodged. A purple light flashed past them like a bolt of lightning. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He saw that it was a purple gourd with a few figures standing on it. At this moment, he turned his head and snorted disdainfully. "Are you provoking me?" Lin Xian laughed. "There are really people who don't know what's good for them." Beside him, Murong Qingqing also walked out. That gourd didn't look ordinary. It should be a high-grade sacred artifact. I didn't expect these people to be so bold. Do they want to cause a conflict in this Sea of Swords? Brother Xian, this place is too dangerous. Why don't we wait until we reach our destination and teach them a lesson? Lin Xian nodded. He deeply remembered the purple gourd and the figures on it. Buzz buzz buzz. In this Sea of Swords, their speed wouldn't be too fast. At least it was much slower than their usual speed. Sometimes not only could they not advance, they had to retreat. Therefore, it wasn't very easy to reach their destination. The sky gradually darkened. However, these sacred artifacts shone brightly like suns, illuminating the surroundings. Of course, as long as the places that couldn't be illuminated were dark, their line of sight would be blocked. At this moment, a few black figures rushed out from the darkness. A few ships rushed towards the Black Earth. Lin Xian frowned. Was there someone who didn't know what was good for them? Was it that purple gourd? Chapter 3957. They wanted to make a move, but they soon realized that it wasn't a purple gourd. Instead, it was a white shadow that looked like a white spirit boat. Those were bones. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He could tell that those were white bones that were made of white bones. Not only that, they could also feel the cold and sinister aura coming from the white bone spirit boat. Brother Xian, there doesn't seem to be any living people on it. Murong Qingqing, who was beside him, was also beautiful and compact. Lin Xian could also feel that such a cold aura wasn't suitable for people to go up. Could it be the guardian of this place? Lin Xian guessed. Murong Qingqing's body flickered with a 7-colored light. She said that it might not be. Perhaps someone else had secretly made a move. Brother Xian, have you heard of the Yellow Springs Hall? Yellow Springs Hall? Never heard of it. Lin Xian shook his head. Murong Qingqing said. The Yellow Springs Hall was also one of the holy cities and they were very strong. They cultivated a cold aura, and it was even rumored that they could control ghosts. This wasn't the first time the Sea of Swords had been opened, right? In the past, there would have been countless experts coming over. After some experts died, their corpses were swallowed by the Sea of Swords. In the past 10,000 years, who knew how many corpses of experts had been hidden? It was likely that the people of the Yellow Springs Hall had come and secretly controlled these corpses. They attacked us. Hearing Murong Qingqing's analysis, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. If it really was the Yellow Springs Hall, it might really be possible. Other than them, the others were also attacked. Some people screamed, "Get out of the way, don't be disturbed by those bone overlords." There were also people roaring, "Damn Yellow Springs Hall, come out and fight us head on." It was useless. Those white bone spirit boats were formed from countless bones. There were also white bone palaces on them, and many white bone creatures rushed out from them. They were also formed from bones, but they were in strange shapes. After all, after so many years, it was impossible for the corpses to be completely preserved. Therefore, different bones combined together to form the white bone life spirits. Although they looked strange, their auras were incomparably terrifying. These were the corpses of saints, and some of them were even powerful sword saints. The forest of bones charged over, their yin qi overflowing. Terrifying energy and laws surged. The purple gourd in front snorted coldly. The person on top of it cast a spell. The purple gourd spewed out purple flames that engulfed the entire sky. The two ancient white boats were instantly engulfed by the purple flames. On the other side, the golden cauldron was just as aggressive as it charged forward. The white bone spiritual boat was smashed into pieces. The others also attacked one after another. Lin Xian also unleashed a law attack. The danger had been resolved. "Do you think you can trap us with mere bones?" Those people sneered as they didn't know what was good for them. However, very soon he could no longer smile. After the white bone forest states disappeared, countless black shadows appeared in the surroundings. They rushed over. The white bone spirit boats were densely packed. There were at least 1,000 of them. Above them there was an endless army of skeletons. Damn it, why are there so many of them? This time the sages felt their scalps go numb. They didn't care about the previous dozen or so sages. But now there were more than 1,000 and even more. They couldn't help but be shocked. There were hundreds of times more people than them. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing's expressions also became extremely ugly. They didn't know how many powerhouses had come to the Netherworld Hall to be able to control so many skeletons. It seemed that they had no choice but to take action. Lin Xian looked at Murong Qingqing. Then the two of them took a deep breath and began to attack. A great battle broke out. Thousands of white bone spirit boats rushed over and engulfed everything. These people fought back crazily. This battle lasted for 5 days and 5 nights. Some people tore through the countless skeletons and charged out, while others were engulfed by the army of skeletons and completely lost their lives. On the 6th day, when the sun rose, those skeletons sank into the sword qi and disappeared. Those who were still alive heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing retreated. Their faces were a little pale, but they weren't injured. Both of them were very powerful. It was just that the 5 days of fighting had exhausted them a little, that was all. Murong Qingqing took a pill, while Lin Xian took out a few beasts' barbecued meat and ate it to recover quickly. In the following period of time, everything was calm and peaceful. Finally, they arrived on this day. At this moment, these sages were all recovering, but when they arrived, they opened their eyes one after another. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing also stood up and looked forward. In the next moment, they were stunned. What's going on? Lin Xian was stunned. Murong Qingqing was also shocked. Am I seeing things? The other powerhouses were also stunned. Even the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain were extremely shocked. How is this possible? Isn't it a gigantic sword? Why is it a broken sword? Previously, when they were watching from afar, it was a stone tablet in the shape of a gigantic sword. However, when they came closer, they saw a stone sword in front of them. It was only 3 feet long and half of it was broken. It was floating there, emitting a mysterious aura. The scene was really too strange. Is this a fantasy? One of the sages decided to try. With the pagoda above his head, he carefully walked forward. As soon as he got close to him, his body instantly shrank. In the end, he looked like an ant. What's going on? The others were also terrified. The shrunken sage was sucked into the broken sword and disappeared. Is there any danger? After waiting for a long time, they didn't see the other party come out. These people were very puzzled. The powerhouses began to analyze. Perhaps there was a space inside and the laws inside were too powerful, affecting the laws of heaven and earth. That's why we got closer and shrank our bodies according to its laws. There should be a world inside the broken sword. Perhaps the fortune was inside. These people were all excited. Let's go. Some people couldn't help it. The others' eyes were also burning. It was worth the risk for the fortune inside. Charge. Many people were swaying. However, at that moment, a blue sword light descended from the sky. One of the people's body was frozen and then broken. Damn it, who attacked? Their companions screamed crazily. Then they saw 3 people surrounded by cold sword chi. The voice was cold. Get lost if you don't want to die. Damn it, the companions who were killed roared crazily. How dare you attack us? They were really angry. However, what welcomed them was sword chi that filled the sky. The entire world turned into ice. Their movements became very slow, and even the speed of the circulation of their power slowed down. Oh no, it's only the Heavenly Mountain sword technique. Are they the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain? Many people felt their scalps go numb and they frantically retreated. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain were so terrifying that they didn't dare to fight back. The leader of the Heavenly Mountain sword technique snorted coldly. Since you know who I am, get lost quickly. Chapter 39:58. I also think it's time to clear out a batch of trash. The figures sitting on the purple gourd sneered. They suddenly activated the gourd and shot out purple flames. A great battle broke out just like that. With the treasure in front of them, they definitely wanted to get rid of the dissidents and monopolize the treasure. Therefore, after the purple gourd, the golden cauldron also began to rampage. Those who were weaker were directly smashed into a bloody mist. For a moment, monstrous laws swept out in all directions. Terrifying sword chi, ice, and flames surged all over the sky. They can't even withstand a single blow. There were 5 people standing on the purple gourd. Their eyes were filled with disdain. Suddenly, one of them turned his head and looked behind. There were purple flames in his eyes. That person is still alive. Hearing his companion's words, the others turned their heads. They saw a spirit ship behind them that was constantly bobbing up and down. This spirit ship could dodge their attacks previously, but they didn't care. They just didn't expect that in such a chaotic battle, that person is still alive. I don't like him. Let's kill him. That person said. Then a flame rose from the purple gourd and rushed to the back. The black earth was constantly flashing, sometimes attacking, sometimes defending. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing were not surprised by this sudden battle. They were all people who had experienced hundreds of battles and had long seen the biting cold methods of these experts. Therefore, they were also attacking aggressively. Suddenly, the temperature of the black earth suddenly increased, and even white smoke appeared in the internal space. What's going on? Someone is attacking them, and it's an extremely terrifying flame. Murong Qingqing snorted coldly and shot out a 7-colored light. Immediately, the 7-colored light collided with the purple flames. It blocked the flames outside. Lin Xian frowned. Is it the purple gourd? These people are courting death. I'll fulfill their wishes. They're actually not dead. The person on the gourd was surprised. Interesting. The person inside actually has some means to block our purple ethereal heavenly fire. The person inside, come out if you have the guts to play with me. A man rushed out. He wore purple armor and held a purple longsword in his hand as he charged towards the black earth. The purple flames that filled the sky leaped and struck the black earth with a sonorous sound. And come out and accept your death. This purple-armored man was extremely arrogant. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian coldly snorted. He moved. In an instant he rushed out, turning into a peerless streak of sword light, tearing apart the 9 heavens. The armored man originally had a look of disdain on his face, but the aura coming from below caused his expression to change drastically. Damn it, I was too careless. This is an expert. In an instant he felt a powerful nomological power rushing towards him. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. In a hurry he could only attack to defend himself. The purple flames that filled the sky danced on his body, forming a purple shield. It was simple and unadorned. Boom. Clanging sounds could be heard, followed by miserable screams. The purple shield was instantly split into 2 halves. Not only that, the man's purple armor was also constantly shattering. His entire body was split apart by the sword. Blood dyed the void red. How was this possible? In the distance, the people on the gourd were stunned. The experts who were fighting in the surroundings also exclaimed. This sword made their hair stand on end. It seemed that there was another hidden expert. The purple gourd released a terrifying burning cloud that enveloped the injured man and brought him back. At the same time, the saints on the gourd roared. Who dares to injure our purple void temple? Do you want to die? Their gazes were fixed on the black spirit ship. The others were also shocked. The Purple Void Temple was also a terrifying sacred city. These were all top experts of the Purple Void Temple, but they were easily injured at this moment. Who is inside the Black Spirit ship? Is the Purple Void Temple that amazing? My Wuxia city has never been afraid of a challenge. A cold voice came from the Black Spirit ship. After the surrounding people heard it, they were also shocked. Wuxia City, this person was actually from Wuxia City. They were too surprised. The people from the Purple Void Temple were also stunned. It seemed that the other party was also from the sacred city. What surprised them was that there were no powerful people in Wuxia City recently. If it was the second-generation disciples, then there was indeed a group of powerful experts that made them fearful. But the third-generation disciples had only been there for a few years. They might not even have mastered the secret technique, but they dared to show off in front of them. However, some people were also shocked. Could the genius of Wuxia City be Lin Wudi? At the mention of this name, their bodies began to tremble. If it was really him, then they would be in danger. Impossible. Some people shook their heads. How could that kid be here? That kid is trapped in the Inyang Hall and can't come out. If he comes out, he'll die. Indeed, the others knew about what happened in the Inyang Hall. If there was one person who was least likely to be here, it would be Lin Wudi. So they were all relieved. It's just Wuxia City. Other than Lin Wudi, the others are nothing in their eyes. Since it's not Lin Wudi, then go to hell. On the purple gourd, the Purple Void Temple saints snorted. They spat out terrifying flames again. The raging flames swept toward the black earth. However, an extremely terrifying sword chi came out of the black earth. A sword broke the 9 heavens. The flames in the sky were torn apart. The purple gourd was sent flying. The people on the ground felt their blood boil. Some even vomited blood. Damn it, how could he be so strong? He's a top sword saint. Everyone screamed. The faces of the people from the Purple Void Temple were also gloomy. Damn it. Who is he? Does Wuxia City already have such a terrifying existence? Boom. At this moment, the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain attacked. The terrifying Heavenly Mountain sword technique descended from the sky. It carried an icy aura that froze everything. The space in front of them was instantly covered in a thick layer of ice that spread for thousands of miles. The black earth was frozen. The 7-colored light rotated and the surrounding ice shattered instantly. Furthermore, it completely blocked the icy aura. It can even block the Heavenly Mountain sword technique? The people around them were shocked. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain had gloomy expressions. At this moment, a golden light cut through the black earth. With a clang, the black earth was sent flying. It was a golden cauldron that directly shattered the sky. That terrifying power caused everyone to tremble. This time, the saint artifact should be shattered, right? Many people swallowed their saliva. They knew that there were a few inside the golden cauldron. It was incredible. They weren't from the sacred city, but they were members of the 10,000 ancient races. Golden ants, this group of ants had immense strength. They were mutants. Chapter 39:59. Boom. Just as everyone was discussing, a black spiritual ship charged over from afar. It contained an unimaginable amount of power as it crashed into the ship. It was courting death. The golden ants sneered and pushed the golden cauldron forward. If the other party didn't die, then let's attack again. They had to destroy the other party. At the moment of collision, a pair of fists came out from the black earth. They were like the sun as they punched forward. Clang. The surrounding sages shook and their faces turned pale. They almost fainted from the impact. The golden cauldron was sent flying in an instant. Inside the golden cauldron, several golden ants vomited blood from the impact. One of their arms was even shattered. How could it be? How could the other party be so powerful? The golden ants were stunned. The rest of the people were also stunned. This was too strange. How could the mysterious expert from Wuxia City be so powerful? If it wasn't for the Inyang Hall being surrounded by countless people, they would have suspected that the person inside was Lin Wudi. But other than Lin Wudi, was there anyone else in Wuxia City who was so terrifying? They couldn't think of anything. Could it be a second-generation disciple of Wuxia City who suppressed his cultivation and snuck in? It's possible. Everyone be careful. These people were extremely vigilant. Everyone, why don't we work together to kick him out? Yes, Wuxia City already had Lin Wudi who caused a ruckus. They definitely wouldn't allow a second person to appear. The golden ant walked forward. The people from Purple Void Temple also took a step forward. In the sky, 3 sword sages from the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain also landed. The others nodded when they saw the three forces taking the lead. Good. No matter who you are. Don't even think about taking another step forward today. These people made their moves. A terrifying power surged towards the Black Earth. Inside the Black Earth, Lin Xian snorted. They didn't know what was good for them. Don't hold back. The two of them didn't go out. Although they were separated by the Black Earth, their attacks weren't weak at all. Lin Xian stretched out his golden hand to fight against the golden ant. At the same time, he used his sword qi to fight against the seven swords of Heavenly Mountain. On the other side, Murong Qingqing did the same. The rainbow light blocked the purple flames. At the same time, she used her unique skills to defend against the surrounding attacks. The two of them joined forces to contend against all sides. Damn it, how could this be? How could the person inside be so powerful? We can't even take each other's hands. These people were truly shocked. Not only that, they realized that not only were they unable to take down the other party, but the other party was also flying towards the broken sword. Stop it. Don't let it go in. These people roared crazily. Their attacks became even more terrifying. However, at this moment, a green wave of light rushed over and attacked their souls. These people were trembling, their souls wounded. Damn it, ocular technique. They were terrified. They didn't expect that the other party would have such a terrifying soul attack. For a moment they all fell into the trap. A gap appeared in the sky and the Black Earth rushed in. After entering, they discovered that there was indeed another space inside the broken sword. It was very spacious inside. The person who came in earlier was already dead. His body was cut in half at the waist and fell to the ground. His eyes were wide open, and it seemed like he had been dead for a long time. This made Lin Xian shocked. It seems that this space was not safe. There should be some terrifying trap or array formation. The others also followed in. When they arrived and saw that the person who came in earlier had been killed, they all heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that the creation had not been taken away by others. They discovered that there was a pavilion in front of them that was completely formed by sword qi. The Sword Rain Pavilion. That pavilion was too magnificent, and the aura on it was incomparable. The sun, moon, and stars were revolving in the sword qi. It was like a universe. There was indeed a creation inside. Hurry up and rush over. The Black Earth moved quickly. How dare you? The seven swords of Heavenly Mountain used a terrifying ice sword technique to freeze everything in block. The Black Earth slowed down, but when the seven-colored light shattered the ice, its speed became faster again. Other than the seven swords of Heavenly Mountain, the others also attacked crazily. It was impossible for them to let the other party succeed. The Black Earth was trembling from the attacks, especially later the other seven swords of Heavenly Mountain also came. They attacked together and the Black Earth was frozen. Even Murong Qingqing couldn't break the ice in a short time. Boom. Lin Xian snorted coldly and struck out with his palm. The Sun Law spread out and melted the ice. At the same time, the Nine Yang Divine Fire and the Purple Void Heavenly Fire collided. Brother Xian, I'll help you block it. Hurry up and go to the Sword Rain Pavilion in front. Murong Qingqing said. After Lin Xian heard this, he was a little worried. Can I? Brother Xian, trust me, it won't be a problem. Alright, I'll leave this to you. Lin Xian left the Great Sage Pagoda to Murong Qingqing. Then he turned into a stream of light and rushed forward. Damn it, he abandoned the spirit boat and wanted to rush forward alone. He wouldn't let him succeed. The seven swords of Heavenly Mountain, Golden Ant, and Purple Void Temple attacked crazily. However, at this moment, a seven-colored light appeared from the spirit boat and blocked all the attacks. What was going on? There was actually someone in the spirit boat. It wasn't a person. They were stunned. Your opponent is me. A cold voice came from the Black Earth. It was abnormally pleasant to the ears. The surrounding people were surprised. It was a woman. A woman wants to compete with us? The seven swords of Heavenly Mountain and the others sneered disdainfully. In the next moment, their pupils constricted. Phoenix. They saw a seven-colored phoenix covering the sky and the earth. It shrouded the front and cut off the heaven and earth. Damn it. They were really angry. With that person's speed, he would probably rush into the Sword Rain Pavilion soon. Kill. These experts attacked together, and the seven-colored phoenix in the sky fought against them. The battle between the two sides was incomparably intense. Murong Qingqing was indeed very powerful. With so many powerful warriors, she was still able to block them all. However, gradually, the phoenix's shadow also dimmed. There was no other way. The surrounding experts were too powerful, especially the seven swords of Heavenly Mountain. The five of them were really terrifying when they joined forces. Not to mention the Golden Ant and the experts of the Purple Void Temple. There were even other experts besieging her. Murong Qingqing was already very heaven-defying to be able to hold on until now. However, at this moment the seven-colored phoenix was blown up by someone. Light scattered all over the sky. Great, I'll kill her. They rushed in. They didn't care about a mere spirit boat. Boom. They were sent flying. A pagoda appeared and blocked all their attacks. Lin Xian was originally a little worried. However, when he saw Murong Qingqing's strength, he heaved a sigh of relief. Even if this girl's strength wasn't as good as his, it wasn't too far off. It shouldn't be a problem for her to resist these people. He'd better get the opportunity as soon as possible and then go back to support her. He rushed towards the Sword Rain Pavilion. Chapter 3960. The spatial divine ability had saved his life. A cold, murderous intent suddenly appeared and slashed at him. He was almost hit. It was too mysterious. Now that he no longer had the Great Sage Pagoda, he dared to fight against countless saints with his defense. But the sword just now was too cold. He had no doubt that even a minor saint would be killed instantly. But fortunately he dodged it. The next moment he entered the Raining Sword's pagoda. Damn it, he went in. Those people in the distance screamed crazily when they saw this scene. Finally someone went in. They also wanted to enter the Raining Sword's pagoda, but they were blocked. The terrifying sword chi cut them apart. Those sword chi made everyone's hair stand on end. Some people wanted to force their way up, charging in with their sacred artifacts. However, a beam of sword light cleaved them apart. Not only that, the sacred artifact was also cut in half. Not good, it's too strong. These people's scalps went numb. This sword chi was not something they could resist. Even a minor saint would not be able to resist it. Damn it, how did that kid get in? Forget it, we can't go in. Let's just wait here and capture his companions. When the time comes, we'll make him hesitate. These people rushed back again and began to attack Murong Qingqing crazily. Murong Qingqing stopped fighting and directly entered the Great Sage Pagoda. She couldn't activate the Great Sage Pagoda, but it was enough to defend. Those attacks hit the Great Sage Pagoda and shook it. However, the Great Sage Pagoda remained motionless. The surrounding experts were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. On the other side, after Lin Xian entered the Raining Sword's pagoda, he stared ahead and couldn't take his eyes off it. In front of him was a sword stele that was 2 meters tall. It was engraved with sword Dao marks. Lin Xian could feel that the aura of the law of sword on it was too strong. With it, he could definitely comprehend the law of sword. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged. He began to comprehend. However, 3 days later he opened his eyes. This sword stele was indeed a good item. However, wanting to comprehend the sword laws would probably not be easy. Lin Xian possessed the Great Dragon Sword Soul. His attack power was extremely strong, and his swordsmanship was outstanding. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be a problem for him to comprehend the Great Dragon Sword Soul. But it was the opposite. It was precisely because he possessed the Great Dragon Sword Soul that his sword skills and attacks were extremely powerful. Thus, it was 100 times more difficult for him to condense laws compared to ordinary swordsmen. Even though he had 7 heavenly Dao Golden Lotuses, it would still take him a lot of time to comprehend them. Under normal circumstances, Lin Xian wouldn't care at all. But now he couldn't. Murong Qingqing was still outside. Although he had the Great Sage Pagoda, there was no guarantee that an accident would happen. He had to leave as soon as possible. In his anxiety, he suddenly discovered that a bronze door had appeared in front of him. Lin Xian suddenly stood up. He was shocked. How could this be? Bewildered, he walked in and found that, as expected, he had entered. The bronze emissary looked at him with flickering eyes. You're here. Lin Xian was astonished. Senior, was there a bronze door here as well? He was too shocked. The bronze emissary said that when you had more than 5 heavenly Dao Golden Lotuses, a bronze door could appear anywhere. As long as you wanted to. Lin Xian was shocked. It seemed that the more heavenly Dao Golden Lotuses there were, the better. He had 7 now, which was already more than the previous people. But he knew that this wasn't the final result. For example, if he went in to exchange, it was hard to say how many would be left in the end. Young man, what do you want to exchange for? The bronze emissary asked. Lin Xian thought for a moment, then said, I don't want any of the treasures listed above. I only want a cultivation room that can allow me to comprehend the laws. But I don't have enough time. I want more time. Okay. The bronze emissary nodded. Lin Xian was stunned. Originally he just wanted to say what he wanted. He didn't expect it to be possible. The bronze emissary said that one heavenly Tao golden lotus could be exchanged for 1 year. 1 year. Lin Xian could exchange for 7, but 7 years later Murong Qingqing would have been teleported out. He couldn't wait. The bronze emissary seemed to see Lin Xian's hesitation. He said, 1 year in the space is only 1 day in the outside world. 7 years is equivalent to 7 days in the outside world. Can you exchange for it? What? There was such a good thing? Lin Xian was stunned. What was standing behind the bronze door? It could even reverse time. One had to know that among all the laws, space was king, but time was supreme. Time was even more mysterious than space. Time was a mystery to everyone and it was irreversible. Therefore, this kind of time reversal rate was inconceivable to people. What kind of method was needed to achieve this? Probably even the Sage King and the Great Sage couldn't do it. He really didn't know what kind of existence stood behind the Star of Destiny. He didn't need to care about this. He hurriedly said, okay, I'll exchange for 7 years. The 7 heavenly Tao golden lotuses disappeared. Lin Xian felt that he had left the bronze door and returned to the sword steel. His surroundings became hazy as if there was a mysterious power. It should be enough. Lin Xian took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged, wholeheartedly comprehending the sword Tao. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. And outside, 5 days had passed. In these 5 days, the Great Sage Pagoda had withstood countless attacks, but it was still unscathed. This shocked everyone. At the same time, their eyes turned red. Treasure, this was definitely a treasure for self-improvement. Such a defense was simply invincible. Damn it, they had to get it. Previously, they only wanted to capture the people in the spirit boat to threaten Lin Wudi. Now their thoughts were different. No matter whether the people inside died or not, they had to get this pagoda. This was even more precious than comprehending the sword Tao. The 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain directly unleashed a world of frost. Endless ice sword chi directly froze the space where the Great Sage Pagoda was. The other experts were also trying, but they still couldn't do anything. However, they had plenty of patience. In the Great Sage Pagoda, Murong Qingqing was fine. She wasn't injured, and she had already recovered from her previous exhaustion. However, she frowned. The people outside were eyeing her covetously. The situation was very dangerous. Besides, she didn't know how Lin Xian was doing. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed. And on this day, in the sword tower, Lin Xian opened his eyes, and there was an additional sword Tao on his body. Countless sword Tao intertwined, forming small swords with a monstrous aura. It was abnormally terrifying. Given Lin Xian's talent and the previous sword steel, he had finally managed to condense the nomological laws of the sword in 6 years. There was less than a year left and Lin Xian didn't waste it. He quickly consolidated it. Finally, on the 7th day, Lin Xian felt that the mysterious aura around him disappeared. He stood up. He knew that the passage of time no longer existed. Now he had returned to the normal world. He looked at the sword steel in front of him and bowed respectfully 3 times. Without this sword steel, he was afraid that he would have to spend 60 years to comprehend the sword Tao. Now, after 6 years of comprehension, the speed of improvement was too fast. But Lin Xian walked out. Chapter 3961. Outside, the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain, Purple Void Temple, Golden Ant, and the others all looked gloomy. It had been 7 days and it had not been announced yet. The defense of the pagoda was too strong. Even if it had been 7 months, they would have had to wait. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain snorted. The golden ant's eyes were also red. This was even more terrifying than their golden cauldron. They had to get it. Suddenly, someone turned around and exclaimed. There seemed to be a fluctuation from the sword rain tower. Someone had come out. What? Did that kid come out? In 7 days, could it be that he had obtained a treasure? No matter what he got, they would kill him and snatch the fortune in the pagoda. These people revealed a ferocious expression. Lin Xian rushed out from the Raining Swords Pavilion's side. He used the Void Walk again to avoid the Sure Kill sword and came out. As soon as he came out, he felt a terrifying chill. It was snowing heavily in front of him and ice covered thousands of miles. The hall was also frozen. Although he knew that the Great Sage Pagoda's defense was strong, and Murong Qingqing should be fine. However, this scene still infuriated him. Previously, he was blocked by the crowd in the Yin-Yang Hall. If he did not have the Void Beast skin, he might have died. And these people still dared to attack him. They were really courting death. He strode forward in large strides. Kid, you're out. Hurry up and kneel down. Give us the fortune and we'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you and your companions will die without a doubt. The two people from the Purple Void Temple rushed forward. They revealed a ferocious expression. Flames surged from their bodies. Buzz. Lin Xian raised his hand and condensed the great sun sword. He slashed forward. With a pft, the two people's heads were chopped off. Blood splattered everywhere. The headless corpses screamed and retreated. Damn it. They were terrified. The sword just now made their hearts jump. They did not have time to defend themselves and were seriously injured. The other people behind were also terrified. The other party attacked directly, and they felt that he was stronger than before. The Law of Sword. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain screamed. It was the Law of Sword. Did he condense the Law of Sword? Many people looked over. In the next moment, their pupils constricted. Damn kid, it's you. This time Lin Xian did not hide. He revealed his true face. Therefore, the 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain screamed when they saw him. The Golden Ant and the Purple Void Temple were confused. They asked, "You know this kid?" The people of the Purple Void Temple gnashed their teeth. "Whether you know him or not, today he would die." "Lin Wudi, why are you here? Weren't you besieged by people? How did you leave the Yin-Yang Hall?" The 5 swords of swords screamed. He really couldn't figure out how the other party came out. The Purple Hollow Palace Golden Ant was also stunned. What? Lin. These people were dumbfounded. The God Mountain Demon This was the legendary Great Demon King. Although they had never seen him before, they had heard of his name countless times. Unexpectedly, the young man in front of him was the one who was chasing after Lin Wudi. They were scared to death. Impossible. Wasn't Lin Wudi blocked in the Yin-Yang Hall by the army of sages? How did he come here? But they knew that the 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain would not be wrong. Although I don't know how you came out, you killed 2 of my junior brothers. Today I'll tear you into pieces. The 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain gnashed their teeth. 2 of the original 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain had died. Now their array was not as powerful as before. Today I'll send all 5 of you to hell. I'll let you reunite in the netherworld. Lin Xian said coldly. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Our strength has changed these days. The leader of Heavenly Mountain gnashed his teeth and roared. Indeed, they came back immediately after they were defeated that day. These days they obtained a lot of treasures and improved their swordsmanship. This time there were the Golden Ant and the Purple Void Temple. They did not believe that they could not suppress Lin. Everyone, let's attack together. Don't give this kid a chance. The people of the Purple Void Temple nodded. The cultivators of the Golden Ant clan also looked solemn. In the next moment, they made their move. Flames and terrifying power covered the sky and earth as they charged towards Lin Xian. In an instant, the void where Lin Xian was completely shattered. That scene was too terrifying. Kill. Lin Xian's body swayed and the unparalleled sword appeared in his hand. The terrifying sword law rushed into the sky. One sword split everything. The 2 saints vomited blood and flew backward. Their arms were cut off. Damn it, how could he be so strong? The sword law that he had just condensed was much more powerful. Don't be afraid. We'll use ice to restrain him. The 5 swords of Heavenly Mountain stood in 5 directions and used the Heavenly Mountain sword technique to freeze everything. The terrifying sword chi filled the air and enveloped the space where Lin Xian was. Frost formed on Lin Xian's body and around him. His speed slowed down. Great, I'll slow him down by 10,000 times. No matter how strong he is, he can't dodge our attack. Hurry up and attack. The boss of Heavenly Mountain shouted angrily. The others were overjoyed. Lin Xian moved like a snail in this world of ice. They attacked crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The sun law spread out from his body. The 9 suns divine fire jumped and turned into one sun sword after another. It swept in all directions. Soon it blocked the ice sword technique. His speed became faster again. In an instant he dodged the attacks that filled the sky. Kill. Lin Xian was extremely powerful. At this moment, the 5-element sword, the sun sword, and the sword of death. The sword of yin and yang. All kinds of laws turned into sword chi, crisscrossing around him. The sun sword completely blocked all the Heavenly Mountain sword techniques and gradually suppressed them. It was as if 9 flaming swords were swaying between heaven and earth, crushing everything. The 5-element sword techniques kept attacking. The experts of the Golden Ant clan trembled. The sword of death swept towards the saints of the Purple Void Palace. The pitch-black sword chi could take away all life. Damn it. The people of the Purple Void Temple screamed. Before the black sword of death arrived, they felt that their lives were about to be taken away. They could only defend quickly. The monstrous flames swept through everything. They wanted to suppress it with their laws. But how was that possible? The strength of Lin Xian's laws was unparalleled. He split the flames and took away the lives of these people. Soon, 3 experts of the Purple Void Temple fell. The remaining 2 wanted to escape. But the 5 elements sword technique caught up. The power of the 5 elements erupted. The various sword lights of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth sometimes scattered and sometimes merged. The 2 could not escape at all. Chapter 3962. It was too fast, so fast that they didn't even have time to take out their gourds before they died. The purple gourd spewed out monstrous flames, tore apart the sword light, and escaped by itself. Such sacred artifacts all had spirituality and could escape back to their sections. On the other side, the golden ant saw this scene and immediately took out the golden cauldron to defend. The pupils of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain also constricted. How did Lin Wudi become so much stronger than before? Just as they were thinking, the great sun sword rushed over. There were 9 swords that turned into 81 sword lights that crisscrossed between heaven and earth, causing their sword formation to tremble continuously. Not only that, the sword of death also flew over and turned into a Taiji sword. The power of yin and yang circulated between heaven and earth. This sword strike was extremely fast. Buzz. A crack appeared between the brows of the 4th elder of Heavenly Mountain. Before his soul could escape, it was destroyed. His body also turned into ashes. A sword strike killed a top-tier sword saint. This made everyone's hair stand on end. Kill. Another one died. The remaining 4 of the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain roared crazily. They had to take revenge. At this moment, they burned their laws with an incomparable aura. The eldest of Heavenly Mountain even swallowed a bottle of pills. That was a kind of secret pill. In an instant, his strength and aura increased to an unbelievable level. Die. He attacked crazily. His strength was much stronger than before. Lin Xian's swordsmanship was actually suppressed. The swordsmanship trembled and many of them were sent flying. Some of their lights dimmed. One could imagine how powerful the eldest of Heavenly Mountain was when he was angry. Lin Xian didn't fight the other party head-on at all. This kind of strength that was increased by a secret technique couldn't last for too long. He just wanted to delay the other party for a while. After the other party disappeared with the secret technique, he would kill the other party. Therefore, he ignored it and directly used the Taiji diagram to deal with the other party. As for himself, he charged towards the Golden Ant. The other party was coming. The 4 powerhouses of the Golden Ant clan had extremely solemn expressions. If we join forces, we don't believe that he can withstand our strength. The 4 of them quickly attacked. They rode the golden cauldron and rushed over. This attack was simply too powerful. It could shatter anything. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He struck out with the sword of water of the 5-element sword. The monstrous sword technique transformed into waves that surged in front of him. The water was incomparably soft. As expected, when the attack hit the sea, it set off monstrous waves. He did not hurt Lin Xian. Furthermore, he was sinking deeper and deeper, as if he was about to be swallowed by the endless water swords. Damn it. The golden ants looked gloomy. The waves formed by the water swords created a whirlpool, and their golden cauldron started to spin as well. This strangling power caused their golden cauldron to become heavier and heavier, and they were almost trapped inside. Spread out. With a roar, a large golden hand reached out and overturned the seawater. Only then were they able to escape. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The 5 elements law transformed into fire law, burning fiercely, cooperating with the 9 yang divine flame to rush out. I'll cook you today. Monstrous flames enveloped the golden cauldron. The golden cauldron bloomed with light to resist, but gradually the golden cauldron became incomparably red. It carried a monstrous power, causing white smoke to rise from the inside of the golden cauldron. Damn it. The people inside were burned by the fire and some of their skin was charred. The smell of barbecued meat wafted out. Damn it, let's fight it out. Was the other party trying to treat them as food? They had also heard that the other party was a foodie demon king. Did he want to eat them? One person controlled the golden cauldron and the other 3 rushed out. The Golden Ant clan had boundless strength, so their bloodline was innately able to comprehend the law of force. At this moment they used all their strength and struck out with several times their strength. It was too terrifying. Lin Xian activated the sword law and used 9 suns open the sky to compete with the other party. His palm seemed to have transformed into a long sword. As he opened and closed, it carried a sharp and indomitable force. Damn it, the other party's physique was too strong. He could actually compete with them. Not only that, Lin Xian also used an unparalleled secret technique. If the other party could increase his strength, so could he. When he activated 5 times his strength, with a bang, he directly shattered the other party's hand and the upper half of his body turned into a bloody mist. After the first Golden Saint was injured, the second and third were also injured. Especially the third one, his entire body exploded. They retreated frantically. Lin Xian struck out with the Law of Death again, turning it into a pitch-black lock that swept forward. No matter how strong the other party was, could they stop their vitality from fading away? Sure enough, the bloody mist of the 3 people instantly faded. They screamed in horror. They used all kinds of divine abilities to block and even broke through the void trying to escape. In Lin Xian's body, the great dragon sword soul roared. Dragon-shaped sword chi slashed out. Together with the sword law, it killed in all directions. Those who escaped into the void and wanted to leave were all shocked out by him. In the end, the 3 golden saints were killed. The other one wanted to escape with the golden cauldron. Lin Xian rushed up with extreme speed. With a slap, he flipped the golden cauldron over and the person inside was sent flying. He also died. After the Purple Void Temple, all the people of the Golden Clan were killed. The golden cauldron fled through the air. Lin Xian turned his head to look at Tianshan Elder. Tianshan Elder vomited blood. The Taiji diagram above his head was constantly bothering him. The elixir's time was almost up. Damn it, ancestral swords. Previously he was eating elixirs. Now he was using the top martial arts of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. That was ancestral swords. This was the foundation of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion as the holy city. Countless icy sword chi appeared on Tianshan Elder's body and swept in all directions. At this moment, the Taiji diagram was also sent flying. Let's kill him together. The 2 experts of the Great Sage City were killed. The surrounding people did not dare to attack. The only ones who dared to attack were the 4 people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. After the other 3 heard, they also used ancestral swords. Every one of them carried tens of thousands of sword chi. The 4 of them charged towards Lin Xian. The 4 of them were very strong. Even Lin Xian did not dare to face them head-on. Ancestral swords was simply a peerless treasure of a sword saint. Just looking at it made him extremely jealous. He kept retreating. At the same time, he struck out with the Sword of Water, quickly forming waves to block them. These sword chi, at the same time, he used stellar transposition, causing these people's ancestral swords to collide with each other, erupting with endless aura. It was useless. The 4 of them spread out and carefully controlled it. Today you will die without a doubt. The 4 of them were like sword gods quickly attacking. But the great sage tower trembled and Murong Qingqing rushed out. Brother Xian, let me help you. She struck out the 7-colored phoenix and swept away 2 sword saints. I'll hold 2 of them back. With Murong Qingqing's bloodline and methods, it shouldn't be a problem to hold 2 of them back. Chapter 3963. He pointed his sword. Yin-yang sword light rushed out with a terrifying aura that could cut through everything. The law of swords surrounded it and jumped, increasing the attack power of this sword. Tianshan Elder and Tianshan Elder 5th rushed over. Their attacks pierced through the void. The battle between Lin Xian and the other 2 was earth-shattering. The sect returning swords was very powerful. Lin Xian activated the secret technique of 5 times and sent Tianshan Elder 5th flying. Tianshan Elder was still able to hold on. This surprised him. Someone could block his power of 5 times. Was this the sect returning swords? A cold light burst out from his eyes. His sword soul roared and went all out. Another sword, 9 suns splitting the sky. Tianshan Elder was finally sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his arm, and the sect returning swords was almost broken. His face was filled with fear. As a sword saint, nothing was more terrifying than the sect returning swords. However, the other party almost broke his sect returning swords just now. What was that dragon roar? Did the other party have anything to do with the Dragon Ball? Next, the dragon roar shook the sky. Streaks of dragon heart sword chi resisted the sect returning swords. Finally, Tianshan Elder's sect returning swords was broken. The sword split Tianshan Elder into 2 halves. All kinds of laws were used and Tianshan Elder was blown up. Tianshan Elder 5th screamed in fear. Suddenly his head flew into the air. The yin-yang sword shattered his head. His soul escaped, but it was turned into chains by the yin-yang sword chi and locked in the air. The heavenly secret divine eyes released 2 soul swords and destroyed it. Tianshan Elder 5th was dead. Tianshan Elder had just recovered when he was pierced by a sword and was seriously injured again. He was chased all over the world by Lin Xian. Impossible, elder brother. Tianshan Elder Second and Elder Third's eyes instantly turned red. They worked together to use the sect returning swords to blast the seven-colored phoenix away and wanted to escape. Murong Qingqing, however, yelled, "You want to run?" 9 slashes of the azure wood. She waved her hand and slashed 9 times in a row. These 9 attacks were too powerful. Even though Tianshan Elder Second and Elder Third had used the sect returning swords, they were still scared out of their wits. After 9 attacks, the third elder of Tianshan Mountain was completely destroyed. Heavenly Mountain's second brother also lost an arm. His entire body was covered in blood as he frantically fled. How could this woman be so terrifying? Not only did the other party possess the bloodline of the phoenix, but he could also tell that this person was from the Kunlun Pavilion. The Greenwood 9 slashes was one of the Kunlun Pavilion's ultimate techniques. Murong Qingqing and Lin Xian teamed up to hunt them down, while Tianshan Eldest and Second Eldest fled all over the world. The surrounding people were all terrified. This news quickly spread out. When the people outside heard about it, they were stunned. How could this be possible? Lin Wudi had actually gone to the Palace of All Life and even started a massacre? Impossible. We've been guarding this place the whole time. How could he possibly escape? These people had all gone crazy. The 23 sword saints of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion couldn't believe it. Leijin couldn't believe it either. Would anyone be able to escape from under their noses? However, the great demons of the Demon City had ugly expressions on their faces. Damn it, he really did get it. Hurry up and chase him to the Palace of All Life. These people rushed over in a frenzy. The others were baffled. At this moment, Leijin received a secret report. It was said that 9 Qilins had brought the Void Beast to assassinate him. Could it be that the Void Beast was injured and that kid got the Void Beast skin? If it was the Void Beast skin, he could indeed use the space to escape. Hurry up and go to the Palace of All Life. He also rushed over with the people of the Thunder God City. The 23 sword saints of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion also set off together. Because according to the news, only 2 of the 7 swords of Tianshan Mountain were left. Moreover, they could die at any time. Hurry up and go to the Palace of All Life. These people rushed out in a frenzy. The Palace of All Life had long been in chaos. The people inside saw 4 figures. The one in front was escaping and the one in the back was chasing after him. They knew that it was Lin Wudi who was chasing after Tianshan Eldest and Second Eldest. The remaining 2 of the 7 swords of Tianshan Mountain were in an extremely sorry state. In the Palace of All Life, the dark red divine dragon, the toad, and the others had also received the news. They also hurriedly took action. Once the news spread, there would definitely be countless experts coming to hunt them down. They followed the tracks all the way. Countless experts had come to the Palace of All Life. Quickly find Lin Wudi, kill him, capture him, and obtain the good fortune on him. A huge storm was brewing here. In the end, the Second Eldest was still killed. Tianshan Eldest was seriously injured, but he was the strongest of the 7 swords of Tianshan Mountain, so he was able to hold on until now. The sword light on his body bloomed. He had been using the 10,000 swords return to origin, and he didn't dare to stop at all. Because once he didn't have the 10,000 swords return to origin, the Tianshan sword technique wouldn't be able to defeat his opponent at all. Not to mention, there was still the terrifying existence of the Kunlun Pavilion beside him. He had to wait for their main force to arrive. That would be great. Lin Wudi, you're courting death. Just as Tianshan Eldest was about to be exhausted and couldn't hold on any longer, a terrifying voice finally sounded between heaven and earth. Then 23 sword lights broke through the 9 heavens and descended from the sky. They completely enveloped the surroundings. O heavens, sword saints, 23 sword saints. These were the experts of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. It's over, Lin Wudi can't escape this calamity. Tianshan Eldest was overjoyed. Kid, I'll definitely make you wish you were dead. Their people had finally arrived. 23 sword saints were enough to sweep through everything. So what if the other 2 were strong? However, he was still careless. The arrival of his teammates made him let down his guard. And Lin Xian seized this opportunity. The sword maxim, the yin-yang maxim, and the 5 elements maxim erupted together. The Tianshan Eldest was directly sent flying. His soul was sent flying, and the yin-yang maxim directly obliterated it. No. Tianshan Eldest was terrified. His fellow disciples were right in front of him, and he would be saved in the next second. However, the other party attacked mercilessly. How dare you? The 23 sword saints were completely enraged. Did the other party still dare to attack in front of them? He was courting death. The 23 of them attacked with all their might, and terrifying sword maxim erupted. The sword maxim of the 23 of them were different. Some were violent, some were cold, some had a strange flame aura, and some had endless coldness. In short, it was abnormally terrifying. Lin Xian still didn't dodge. He used the last of his strength to destroy Tianshan's eldest soul. Then he took Murong Qingqing and instantly hid in the Great Sage Pagoda. The 23 sword chi slashed on the Great Sage Pagoda, sending the Great Sage Pagoda flying. The void shattered, and all the living beings within 1,000,000 miles prostrated themselves. At this moment everyone saw it. What a terrifying sword chi. It was the 23 sword saints of the 10,000 swords pavilion. They should have found Lin Wuti. Let's go. These people all rushed over. Inside the Great Sage Pagoda, Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing's chi and blood were surging, but it wasn't serious. Not to mention 23 sword saints, even 230 sword saints wouldn't be able to break the Great Sage Pagoda. Chapter 3964. Sure enough, their chi and blood only surged and they quickly suppressed it. The Great Sage Pagoda floated in the air. This Great Sage artifact, Lin Xian's defense was already amazing. Damn it, the 23 sword saints launched a shocking attack and then caught the corpse of Tianshan Mountain's leader. However, there was no aura left. Blood mist filled the sky. His soul was destroyed and he couldn't be resurrected at all. Damn it. The 23 sword saints roared at the sky, and their eyes instantly turned red. Kill Lin Wuti and take revenge. They rushed over, but in the next moment their faces turned ugly. Did the other party not die? The pagoda rotated between heaven and earth, but it didn't shatter. This was unbelievable. With the 23 of them attacking, even the minor saints would be able to take the lead, right? But the other party was hiding in the pagoda, and it seemed that he didn't suffer much injury. Damn it, the 23 sword saints attacked again. The void where the great sage was kept shattering. It spread for tens of thousands of miles, hundreds of thousands of miles, and even millions of miles. As for the surrounding people, they all chased after him. What happened? They were frightened and didn't dare to approach. Lei Jin's face was ferocious, and the 9 Qilins also came with a cold expression. The sages all looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Lin Wuti had probably been killed to the point that his heart and soul had been destroyed. Damn it, these lunatics from the Myriad Sword Pavilion don't know how to show mercy. Lin Wuti had a lot of good fortune on him. They weren't worried about Lin Xian's life or death, but that the treasure would be destroyed. Not good, that kid will definitely die. The corner of the toad's mouth twitched. The dark red dragon and the North Demon's face turned cold. Li Hongxiu's expression was solemn. Could such a violent attack be blocked? The sword chi disappeared, and the black hole dissipated. A pagoda floated between heaven and earth, and it had received a lot of impact. However, there wasn't even a crack on it. The light it emitted was too mysterious. Nothing happened at all. What kind of saint artifact was this? Could it be that it surpassed the moon grade? Was this a sun grade saint artifact? These people were crazy. The other party actually had such a saint artifact in his hand. The faces of the 23 sword saints turned cold. Lei Jin, the 9 Qilins, and the sages around them all had ugly looks on their faces. How could they fight like this? Capture their companions. Those people must be coming. At this moment, Lei Jin roared. The others also came back to their senses. Yes, let's move. They looked at the dark red divine dragon, the northern demon, and the others and attacked madly. Even Li Hongxiu was affected. Do you want to die? Li Hongxiu shouted angrily. She was the daughter of the Saint King, yet there was still someone who dared to attack her. The people who had attacked were shrouded in their auras. They could only sense the nomological laws, but they were unable to sense the specific abilities they used. These people had concealed their methods and were using some secret techniques to attack. They wanted to take advantage of the chaos to kill her. Damn it, Li Hongxiu's face was cold. There must be some people who were afraid that her rise would threaten those on the pilgrim rankings. Li Hongxiu's sleeves kept waving. The toad, the dark red dragon, and the others also counterattacked. All kinds of great Daos interweaved. Soon they escaped. There was no other way. There were too many people. As the toad ran, it roared. Damn it, how dare you treat me like this? I will not let you off. As soon as it finished speaking, it was attacked by tens of thousands of thunderbolts, which jarred its body. Capture them and make Lin Wuti surrender. These people's eyes were red. This was the only way. At this moment, the great sage pagoda also moved. Lin Xian naturally wouldn't allow his friends to be threatened. He rode the Great Sage Pagoda and rushed over. With the power of the Great Sage Pagoda, Lin Xian couldn't activate it at all. One attack would probably be able to deplete all of his energy. After all, this was a weapon that only the Great Sage could use. However, he only needed to fly, so there was no problem at all. He didn't need to use the power of the Great Sage Pagoda. He could just charge forward and send out countless sword chi which could send many saints flying. As expected, he forcefully opened up a path of blood. He led the Jianghu monsters and the dark red divine dragon away. Then he brought Li Hongxiu in. In the end, only the toad was left. Damn it, kid, you can't burn the bridge after crossing the river. I've treated you well. The toad was being chased by countless people and screamed crazily. In the end, Lin Xian also made a move and brought the toad into the Great Sage Pagoda. Everyone surrounded the Great Sage Pagoda. The Great Sage Pagoda was sent flying countless times and kept rolling. Lin Xian and the others inside were also boiling. Li Hongxiu was surprised. What level was this? Was this the weapon of the Sage King? Wasn't it too terrifying? She had only seen her father with such a weapon. She had never seen anyone else with such a weapon. Lin Xian didn't say the specific level. Instead, he said that with this thing they wouldn't be able to break in. The toad kept roaring. Damn it, how dare they chase after me? I'll kill them when I have the chance. The dark red divine dragon and the others also had cold expressions. Damn it, counterattack. They began to attack with the Great Sage Pagoda in between. These people were very strong. Now that they didn't have any worries, they naturally attacked crazily. All kinds of magical powers and laws surged outside. Lin Xian even conjured all kinds of swords of laws and slashed horizontally and vertically. In an instant, many people were seriously injured. They all retreated crazily and distanced themselves. Damn, Lin Wuti, come out if you have the ability. That's right, didn't you claim to be invincible? Why are you a coward? Leave this pagoda if you have the ability. One by one the sages clamored. Lin Xian was in the Great Sage Pagoda. He sneered when he heard this. How dare you clamor with me? Aren't you just relying on your numbers? Who would dare to fight one-on-one? Not to mention one-on-one, who would dare to fight 1-on-10? Kid, ignore them. Hundreds of people are chasing after one of us. What kind of heroes are they? Just kill them through the air. Lin Xian wasn't afraid of 1-on-10. But now it wasn't a problem of 10 or 20 people. It was a problem of hundreds or even thousands of people. With so many sages working together, no one could stop them. The toad was roaring. Its mouth could infuriate people to death. Damn, Leijin, aren't you awesome? If you have the ability, come out and fight me one-on-one. I'll slap you to death with one slap. And you, nine-headed Qilin, are you amazing? I'll chop you up and eat braised meat. Is the Myriad Sword Pavilion that awesome? 23 people are chasing after one. If you have the ability, come and fight me one-on-one. Didn't the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain get killed by us too? The toad's clamoring voice could be heard. The sages outside had ugly expressions. Damn it, they really deserved to die. Indeed, they really didn't dare to fight one-on-one. They didn't even dare to fight 1-on-10. The 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain, the 7 terrifying sword saints, were all killed. The others wouldn't be a match for them either. They could only rely on their numbers now. However, this trick was useless because they couldn't open the pagoda in front of them at all. Lin Wuti, come out and fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. Lei Jin stood out. Chapter 3965. I lost to you last time, but this time, my strength has increased greatly. I will definitely be able to kill you with my own hands. The thunder on his body was incomparably terrifying. You're so shameless. Now you want to fight one-on-one? Fine, tell them all to get out of the Hall of Life, and we'll agree to fight you one-on-one. The toad mocked. Previously, when you brought people to surround the Yin Yang Hall, did you think of fighting one-on-one? Now that you want to fight one-on-one, aren't you just trying to lure us out? Kid, do it. Lin Xian didn't say anything else. He controlled the Great Sage Tower and rushed over. The Law of Sword erupted and stabbed directly at Lei Jin. All kinds of sword chi swept out like a storm. Lei Jin was furious. He was courting death. He struck out thunder that filled the sky to resist. However, he was still forced back. Just the Great Sage Tower alone was enough to send him flying. Damn it, don't you dare to fight? Lei Jin roared. If you want to fight one-on-one, I'll fulfill your wish. Suddenly, Lin Xian used a method and directly pulled Lei Jin into the Great Sage Tower. In the next moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out from the Great Sage Tower. The people outside were dumbfounded by what they saw. The people of Thunder God City were even more crazy. Not long after, Lei Jin was thrown out. His body was broken and bleeding, and his face was swollen like a pig's head. He roared crazily there. "Damn it, I'm going to kill you. I must kill you. Young master, are you all right?" The people of Thunder God City also rushed over. They could see that Lei Jin was injured and tortured. However, his life was not in danger. This made them heave a sigh of relief. But soon their faces darkened. Was this a slap in the face? A crazy slap in the face. Nine-headed Qilin, aren't you very powerful? Then come over too. Lin Xian controlled the Great Sage Tower and rushed towards Nine-headed Qilin. Nine-headed Qilin was scared out of his wits. Lei Jin almost died when he went in. If he went in, wouldn't he be killed by the other party? He only had 7 lives left. He didn't dare to waste them. He fled frantically, but the 2 great demons beside him did not escape and were pulled in. After a series of crazy explosions, the Great Sage Pagoda suddenly calmed down. What was going on? Why wasn't anyone thrown out? Could he have been killed? After a while, the smell of barbecued meat wafted from the Great Sage Tower. Everyone vomited blood. Fuck, these 2 greater demons must have thought of them as food and stewed them. Damn it. Nine-headed Qilin and the others were so angry that they were about to spit out blood. However, they did not dare to step forward anymore. It was like an invincible tortoise shell. They couldn't get in, but the other party could pull them in. If he went in alone and faced Lin Xian and his terrifying friends, even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Lei Jin was also scared. Luckily, he was human. If he was a demonic beast, he would have been stewed. This action shocked everyone. They didn't expect it to work this way. Is the 10,000 Swords Pavilion very powerful? Lin Xian controlled the Great Sage Pagoda and rushed towards the 23 Sword Saints. Damn it. The 23 Sword Saints retreated frantically. They didn't dare to fight against the other party. The Great Sage Pagoda was very fast. It broke through the void and cut off everything. Gather together. The 23 people wanted to gather together, but in an instant, a white monkey appeared and knocked a few of them unconscious and completely pulled them in. The next moment, the sound of the earth shaking could be heard. Not long after, 5 Sword Saints were thrown out. There were only heads and no corpses. 5 heads drifted in the wind. It was extremely miserable. That such powerful martial venerables and sword saints were killed in a short time. It was too unbelievable. This Lin Wudi was too terrifying. Not only that. Not only Lin Wudi was there, but also Li Hongxiu and the Saintess of the Kunlun Pavilion. His companions were also very powerful. How could those 5 sword saints be a match for them? Run away. These people fled frantically. Some of them who were slow to escape were dragged in and died. Originally, everyone had gathered to form a terrifying army to kill Lin Xian. Who would have thought that in the end they would be chased like stray dogs? Ah, Lei Jin, come and fight me one-on-one. I'll slap you to death. There were also the 9 Qilins who quickly came over to die. The toad was shouting inside. Their main targets were these top elites. On Lei Jin's back, a pair of thunder wings were constantly flapping. The 9 Qilins wished they could grow 2 more legs. They were too aggrieved. They had cultivated for so long and their cultivation had increased greatly. They wanted to hold their heads high. However, they realized that they were even more aggrieved than before. In the end, these people all fled the Palace of All Life. They didn't dare to stay any longer. Next, Lin Xian and the others began to travel around the Palace of All Life to collect all kinds of resources. Their cultivations were also rapidly increasing. Lin Xian could feel that he was not far from making a breakthrough in his cultivation. Soon, he would be able to enter the ranks of the 5th firmament. Boom boom boom. On this day, a loud sound suddenly came from the depths of the Roland's palace. Following that, an extremely terrifying aura spread out. As a result, everyone in the 5 palaces was terrified. What happened? Let's go and take a look. These people rushed out and rushed towards the depths of the Roland's palace. Lin Xian and the others naturally felt it too. They were puzzled. The dark red dragon was drooling. Could it be that another treasure had appeared in the Roland's palace? As for the toad, its expression changed. Damn, could it be that someone had touched it? No, I have to go and take a look. It turned into a stream of light and flew quickly. Let's go too. Lin Xian called out. Everyone followed the toad out of the Palace of All Life and into the depths of the Roland's palace. The others also came out. Along the way they encountered Lin Xian and the others and retreated. Now, not many people dared to provoke Lin Xian and the others. In front, Lei Jin, the 9 Qilins, Gao Yu, Bai Luo and the others were all there. Even the great desolate mansion's Yu was there. When some people saw Lin Xian and the others, they all turned their heads. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. However, no one made a move because the aura in front was too abnormal. It was as if an ancient overlord had come back to life. Not only that, there were golden runes shining between heaven and earth. Golden light filled the sky and scattered over. As a result, everyone could only stop here. They could not take a step forward. Some people could not help but want to try, but their bodies shattered and they screamed. The others were also stunned. What was going on? The toad stood at the front. Its eyes were wide open as if it wanted to see through everything. Lin Xian also activated the Heavenly Secrets Child Prodigy. He passed through layers of space and saw a shocking scene. In front, there was a figure in black robes with his back facing him. That was Black Mountain. Lin Xian was shocked. This commotion was caused by Black Mountain. It was too unbelievable. Was Black Mountain fighting for the treasure? One had to know that Black Mountain was the great sage when he was alive. Although he had fallen and was only a remnant soul, his strength might not be as strong as theirs. However, his methods and foresight far surpassed theirs. Chapter 3966. He looked carefully and found that there was a golden platform in front of He Shan, and there was a figure lying on the golden platform. It was a woman wearing an ancient Taoist robe. Her eyes were closed and she seemed to be asleep. The woman was extremely beautiful. What was even more surprising was that her lower body was actually that of a snake. Was this a demonic beast? Lin Xian was surprised. Could it be an ancient corpse? At this moment he saw He Shan move. He Shan took a few more steps forward. Suddenly, the golden platform shone brightly and burst out with an unparalleled light, tearing apart the space in the sky. In the next moment, everyone felt a terrifying storm that wanted to tear them apart. At the same time they all screamed. That was because the light pierced through the space, allowing them to see the scene in front of them. Heavens, there was someone in front of them. How was that possible? Who was that person? They also saw a man in a black robe, but they did not recognize him. Look, there was something in front of him. Everyone saw that there was a golden platform in front of them, and there was a mysterious woman on it. She had a human body and a snake tail. Could it be an ancient demonic beast? Everyone was shocked. The toad screamed crazily and crawled on the ground. Her Majesty. Lin Xian was shocked. Could it be that the toad knew? He asked twice and found that the toad's eyes were red, and it could not hear any sound at all. It was really strange. It seemed that he would have to wait until the toad calmed down before asking. Lin Xian stared ahead. He did not know what He Shan was trying to do. He Shan stood in front. He was still quite a distance away from the golden platform. Moreover, he found that the space in front of him seemed very close, but it was like a natural chasm. It was impossible to cross it. So close, yet worlds apart? He Shan's eyes flickered. However, it seemed that he did not give up. His gaze was fixed on the sleeping woman in front of him. To be precise, the thing in the woman's hand. It was a ruby. It was made of some unknown gem and it was abnormally mysterious. He Shan used a few secret techniques to pass through so close, yet worlds apart. However, it triggered a change. The ruby suddenly shone and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. He Shan was sent flying. At the same time, the entire golden palace shook violently. Not good, retreat quickly. Lei Jin, the 9 Qilins, and the others narrowed their eyes and retreated in an instant. Lin Xian and the others also felt a sense of crisis. Come in quickly. He took out the Great Sage Pagoda again and let Murong Qingqing and the others in. When he left, he found that the toad was still lying there. He reached out a large hand and grabbed the toad, bringing him into the Great Sage Pagoda. Then he shattered the void and left this place. Your Majesty, I want to follow you. The toad was growling. He said, Why did you pull me back? The dark red divine dragon said with disdain. Brother, aren't you too spineless? Isn't it just a woman? Don't tell me you're going to die for her just because you took a look. In a while, this brother will bring you to find many beautiful demonic beasts and let you have your fill. What the hell do you know? That's my queen. She's not someone other people can compare to. The toad's eyes turned red. Lin Xian pulled the dark red divine dragon to the side and told him not to provoke the toad anymore. Then he asked, Do you know that sleeping woman? Tell me. What is her identity? Why are you here? Kid, don't try to trick me. You shouldn't know these things. If you know, you'll be in big trouble. Lin Xian was shocked. The others were even more curious. They asked one after another. However, the toad didn't even want to say a single word. In the end, everyone could only give up. The North Demon's expression was solemn. He was very worried. He didn't know how his master was doing. Just now, he saw that Black Mountain was sent flying by the impact. The dark red divine dragon beside him said, "Don't worry. How could anything happen to that old monster? He has more tricks up his sleeve than we imagined." Lin Xian also comforted him. Black Mountain should be fine. Although that was the case, they were still curious. Black Mountain might know the secret of the Roland's Golden Palace. They flew all the way and only calmed down when they were far away. The others also had lingering fears. However, the Roland's Golden Palace was shaking more and more violently. The terrifying aura in the distance was still erupting. Oh no, it seemed that they had to leave this place. Everyone was unwilling. There were countless treasures in the Roland's Golden Palace, but now they had to leave. Let's go. Lin Xian led the group away. They had obtained many benefits. If they stayed any longer, their lives would be in danger. They also left the Roland's Golden Palace and went outside. The Roland's Golden Palace shook violently. The door suddenly opened and a terrifying golden light shot into the sky. The entire celestial fate planet shook violently because of this movement. There seemed to be endless laws in the world. The great Tao intertwined. Oh no, something unimaginable has happened. Everyone's expressions were solemn. In the depths of the celestial fate planet, the eyes of the people on the pilgrim ranking also shone. It seems that it's about time. Let's go. These people brought their followers and subordinates and quickly rushed into the distance. They scattered in all 5 directions. The great Tao in the sky scattered down, completely drowning the space where the 5 of them were. A shocking change occurred. The entire celestial fate planet was divided into 9 regions. The 5 people on the pilgrim ranking each occupied one of the 5 regions. The other 4 regions were empty. No one had entered them yet. This scene was shocking. There was actually an unexpected change. It seemed that it exceeded their imagination. These people were shocked. They had originally thought that there would be at most 6 regions. Perhaps there would only be 5 regions. They hadn't expected there to be 9. The eyes of the 5 geniuses on the pilgrim ranking shone. Their subordinates were delighted. This was great. This way they would all have a chance. Young master, why don't we give it a try? Their subordinates were excited. The silhouettes nodded. Okay. These people were all their followers. If they could snatch one more area, it would be a great advantage for them. The final path was about to open. Next, it was time to fight for the Destiny Stone. They had to obtain their own Destiny Stone. Their subordinates were overjoyed when they received the order. They quickly rushed toward the 4 uninhabited regions. But soon their expressions changed. They discovered that even though they had crossed over the neighboring regions, the great Tao that was pressing down on them had become heavier. They even turned into chains binding their bodies. Damn it, they were being suppressed. When the 5 geniuses saw this, their eyes shone with a cold light. Was this the suppression of regions? Chapter 3967. Some of them were unwilling to give up and wanted to stay here by force. There were also some who wanted to retreat. Under such suppression, could they beat the newcomers? They had no confidence. At this time, Lin Xian and the others naturally felt the rumbling in the depths of planet Tianming. These people did not know what was going on, so they frantically retreated in all directions. At this time, the great path in the sky descended, and everyone was divided into different regions. Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and the others were together because they were in the Great Sage Pagoda. There were many people with them. The most dazzling of them all was Lei Zhen and a few experts from the Myriad Sword Pavilion. Yu Yu from the Great Desolate Mansion was also here. Of course, the other saints and some experts of the older generation were also here. They looked around, their faces full of surprise. What was going on? Could it be that they were sealed? Now look. Someone looked down from the sky. The entire planet Tianming was divided into 9 regions, and they all led to the deepest part of the planet Tianming's heart. These people rose into the sky and found that it was indeed so. For example, the 9 Qilins were in the region next to them. There were others further away. Among them, there were 5 figures that were as bright as stars in the night sky. Their auras were much stronger than the 9 Qilins, Lei Zhen, and the others. When Li Hongxiu saw them, she exclaimed. The 5 people on the pilgrimage board. They had indeed appeared. Was it them? Murong Qingqing, Lin Xian, and the others also looked over. They saw that the 5 figures were too terrifying. Their auras had reached the peak of the 5th heavenly layer. They knew that these people were originally small saints, but they were able to enter because they suppressed their cultivation. Even so, they were stronger than ordinary 5th heavenly layer experts. There were probably not many who could match them. There were a total of 7 people on the pilgrimage board. Now 5 of them had appeared and 2 were not. Or rather, they were already here but they were hiding. Li Hongxiu began to introduce them to Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and the others in detail. She did not know much. She only knew the names of these people and their sections. I don't know the specifics. Look at that guy over there. He's covered in sword light and looks like a sword god. He's an expert from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. His name is Wan Jianni. The other one wore black armor and carried a long spear on his back. He was Yu Quan of the Great Desolate Mansion. He was Yu Yu's older brother. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this. Yu Yu was the head disciple of the Great Desolate Mansion. He never thought that his older brother was actually one of the geniuses on the Holy Pilgrimage list. At this moment, many people cried out in surprise. What a beautiful woman. There were even some people that couldn't help but look toward that area. When Li Hongxiu saw this, she snorted coldly and pointed in that direction. She said, "Do you see that woman? Her name was Qin Xiener, and she was from the Joyous Union Palace." This woman had cultivated this kind of seduction technique. Who knew how many fifth-layer saints had been mercilessly toyed with by her? Speaking of this person, Li Hongxiu snorted heavily. It seemed that she was very dissatisfied with his cultivation method and actions. Lin Xian smiled awkwardly then asked, "Where are the others?" He looked in several other directions. Li Hongxiu was shocked. She never thought that Lin Xian would be unaffected. One had to know that this Qin Xiener was extremely powerful. She had a special bloodline constitution. Coupled with her cultivation method, some saints couldn't escape at all. As expected, even Lei Zhen and the 9 Qilins had a trace of passion in their eyes. However, Lin Xian didn't have it at all. How could she know that Lin Xian's mind was so firm? No seduction, technique, or illusion could affect him. Li Hongxiu took a deep breath and continued to introduce. The one wearing a Taoist robe and a mask was from the Limitless sect. He was called Chao Tianxing. Lin Xian looked over and was shocked. This person was very special. Indeed, she sensed a special aura from this person. However, he couldn't describe it with words. Furthermore, the mask that the other party was wearing was also green and had fangs. It was extremely terrifying. The last one was called Emotio and he was from the Acheron Hall. Acheron Hall? Hearing this, Lin Xian was surprised. Murong Qingqing also frowned slightly. Previously, when they were in the Palace of All Life, they were attacked by the Acheron Hall. At that time, someone was hiding in the dark and communicated with countless bone armies, almost killing them. This Emotio looked ordinary, but the aura on his body was extremely terrifying. Under his feet, there was a yellow river surging. That was the water of the Acheron. There were white bones rolling in it. They were all corpses of saints. Just this scene alone was enough to make one's scalp tingle. Needless to say, the strength of these 5 people was extremely terrifying. What about the other 2? The dark red divine dragon also couldn't wait to ask. Who were those 2 people? Li Hongxiu said, "The 2 people who didn't appear, one is the spatial powerhouse I told you about, Gu Feng. The other person is very strange. I only know that he's called Wuxia. However, I don't know what he looks like. I only know that he's a mysterious assassin, perhaps from the human world." A top assassin in the human world. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. The dark red divine dragon also said, "Damn, this organization is really haunting us." Gu Feng had spatial abilities, so no one knew when he would appear. As for Wuxia, he was even more terrifying. His concealment technique was very strange. Perhaps he had already arrived. Moreover, he was hiding right beside them. These 2 people were extremely dangerous. After Lin Xian and the others heard this, they had a general understanding in their hearts. Among all the people who entered the Heavenly Fate planet this time, these 7 people were probably the most powerful. However, they still didn't know who was stronger and who was weaker among these people. The pilgrimage leaderboard was still a little far away from them. After all, these were all minor saints. Lin Xian was confident that he could defeat everyone below the pilgrimage leaderboard. Everyone waited patiently. During this time, they also learned that every region led to the depths of the Heavenly Fate Heart. And in the depths of the heart was the legendary Heavenly Fate Stone. Only when one reached there could they see their own heavenly fate. The so-called heavenly fate was actually the scene of one's future. What these people wanted to see was their future path, their limits, and where they could go. Could the future be calculated? Wasn't the future supposed to be mysterious and unpredictable? Lin Xian was astonished. Li Hongxiu said softly. Indeed, that was the case. The calculation was based on your best condition. In other words, it was your limit. Everyone, no matter how talented or how good the resources were, would always have a limit. In other words, once you reached there, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven to take another step forward. Perhaps you would never be able to take another step forward in your lifetime. Chapter 3968. What we need to do now is to try our best to see where our limits are. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the others fell silent. Indeed, becoming a great emperor was everyone's goal, but whether they could achieve it was different. And one's own limits were indeed related to one's future path and the concrete future. That was why these people were so eager to know. They didn't know where their limits were. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Murong Qingqing, who was standing on the side, also said, "Could it be that what we see is definitely the future? Can no one break the heavenly fate?" Li Hongxiu said, "Of course. The heavenly fate planet was only tested under normal conditions. For example, a person's future limit was to become a sage king. But if they were killed when they became a sage venerate, then they naturally couldn't become a sage king. That was why they died prematurely. Of course, there was another way to break the heavenly fate. But they had never heard of such a person. Perhaps there were people like that in the ancient and primordial era. Alright, don't be so sad. We're definitely very talented. I'm going to become the Dragon Emperor. I have to see what my heavenly fate is." The dark divine dragon's eyes shone. The others also had lofty ambitions. "Let's go." These people came out of the Great Sage Pagoda and rushed forward. There were 9 regions. According to the rules of the heavenly fate planet, they were in the 9th region, and Chao Tianxing was in the 1st. The other regions were in a clockwise order, forming a circle that divided the entire heavenly fate planet. They quickly flew toward the depths of the heavenly fate planet. On the way they met many people. Some of them were terrified when they saw Lin Xian. Of course, there were also some people who had cold eyes. They even secretly transmitted their voices. It seemed that they wanted to attack. Lin Xian ignored them. It was fine if they didn't attack, but if they did, he could guarantee that they would know what despair and regret were. Their speed was very fast and they flew all the way. However, the heavenly fate planet was very big. This time they were flying toward the depths of the heavenly fate planet. There were powerful demon beasts and terrifying traps. They hadn't entered before, and now that they were, it was very dangerous. Sure enough, there were people who died in front of them. Blood soared into the sky, and it was incomparably miserable. "We have to be careful," Lin Xian reminded. Everyone else also had solemn expressions on their faces. And behind them, a man in black armor had a gloomy expression. Lin Wudi's good days had come to an end. "I didn't expect him to be assigned to the same area as me. I want to be the ruler of the 9th district." The one who spoke was precisely Yu Yu. His older brother Yu Quan had occupied a region. Thus he wanted to occupy a region as well. That was because there was no pilgrimage list in this region. As such, it did not fear anyone. Whether it was Lin Wudi or Lei Zhen, they would all crawl at his feet. In front of them, Lin Xian and the others were moving forward at an extremely fast speed. After a long journey, they finally arrived at the depths of celestial fate. There was a dangerous aura ahead. Everyone felt their blood run cold. Lin Xian frowned as he activated his God's Heaven Eye and scanned his surroundings. Suddenly, he realized that there was an ancient tree sitting cross-legged in front of him. That dangerous aura was emitted by the ancient tree. This was an extremely terrifying tree demon. It was unknown what realm it had reached. Perhaps it was a small saint. However, it was too obscure and mysterious to be able to tell. Lin Xian also did not know if the cultivation of celestial fate was only suppressed for them or for everyone. If the native creatures of celestial fate were not suppressed, then it would be dangerous. In short, the tree demon in front of them gave them a fatal sense of threat. Should they kill their way through or enter the Great Sage Pagoda and barge their way through? The dark red dragon asked. Li Hongxiu shook her head. She did not quite agree. She said that they had already arrived at the depths of celestial fate, and there were many ruins left behind by ancient saints. We should properly comprehend them and improve our laws. The North Demon stood up and walked forward. "Senior, we have no ill intentions. We just want to pass through here." As he spoke, he opened his sky-piercing divine tree. Behind him, the illusion of a huge divine tree swayed, emitting a mysterious aura. The killing intent of the tree demon in front of them disappeared. His branches swayed and then gave way to a path. "Thank you, Senior." The North Demon and the others bowed. Then they walked forward and left this area. The dark red dragon and the others heaved a sigh of relief. The aura of that tree demon just now was too terrifying. Could it really be a small saint? Everyone continued on their way. Not long after, they stopped in front of a mountain peak. There was a palm print on it. The shadow of the palm was truly incredible. Although it was only a shallow print, there was blood left on it. Moreover, Lin Xian and the others discovered that it was the blood of at least a dozen saints. In other words, this palm print had killed more than a dozen saints, and they were not ordinary saints. The aura left behind by this blood was too terrifying. It was very likely that it was a small saint or a holy venerable. In other words, the one who left this mark was most likely a saint king. They quickly comprehended it. These people surrounded the palm print and quickly comprehended it. They were quite free to comprehend it here. A day later, a cold voice came from behind them. Lin Xian and the others suddenly opened their eyes. Who was it? The toad had also recovered. When it noticed the situation, it immediately roared. How dare you peek at me? I'll beat you to death. You're just a toad, how dare you be arrogant in front of me? 13 people walked over from the front. They were all wearing black armor and their auras were unparalleled. People from the Great Desolate Mansion? Li Hongxiu frowned. What do you want? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He did not see you use figure. However, these 13 people were also incredible. They were all fifth heaven saints. Moreover, 10 of them were in the middle stage of the fifth heaven, and 3 were in the late stage of the fifth heaven. The killing intent from these 13 people was very terrifying. The leader sneered. Lin Wudi, I heard that you dared to provoke our Great Desolate Mansion and disrespect the previous generation's Huangzi. I'll give you a chance to live. If you kneel down and submit, you can live. It's the same for you people. He pointed at the North Demon, the Dark Red Dragon, and the Toad. Then he looked at Murong Qingqing and Li Hongxiu. As for you two beauties, the young master invites you two to enjoy the flowers and drink. You want us to be your slaves? Lin Xian laughed when he heard this. The Dark Red Dragon also snorted coldly. Who do you think you are? How dare you show off in front of us? The Toad jumped up. Damn, I'll slap you to death. Hurry up and get over here. Be my human pet. I'll torture you properly. Otherwise you're dead. Li Hongxiu also snorted coldly. Where's you? How dare he show off in front of us? Chapter 3969. The experts from the Great Desolate Mansion looked gloomy. The behavior of this group of people had infuriated them. Lin Wudi, it seems like water has entered your brain. It's your honor to be able to become our young master's subordinate. Don't forget that our young master isn't just the chief disciple. Our young master's brother is on the pilgrim list. Submitting to our chief disciple is equivalent to submitting to young master Yu Quan. You have to think carefully. It's your honor to be able to become young master Yu Quan's follower. Lin Xian sneered. You've been kneeling for so long that you can't even stand up. How can you be proud of being a slave? It seems like you don't know what's good for you. That's right, young master Yu knew you would behave like this, so he gave us an order. If you dare to resist, we'll beat you half to death and let you know the consequences of offending us. The killing intent on their bodies grew stronger. All kinds of laws emanated from their bodies, and the terrifying sacred weapons kept rumbling. It seemed like these people were about to attack. Kill. The leader of the group roared. 13 saints attacked at the same time. It seemed like they didn't dare to be careless when facing Lin Wudi. These 13 people were too strong. They were even more terrifying than the 7 swords of Heavenly Mountain. They didn't know what was good for them. The Toad sneered, the dark red divine dragon snorted, and the others had a mocking look on their faces. On the other hand, Lin Xian's eyes were filled with unparalleled killing intent. The sword law emanated from his body, and a clang was heard. The combination of the laws formed the great sun sword on one side and the death demonic saber on the other. The saber and sword struck out together, and a terrifying aura covered the sky. With a slash of the saber, the 2 powerful sages instantly withered and turned into white bones. Not good. They retreated frantically, and their faces were filled with horror. The saber had taken away most of their vitality, and they almost died here. As soon as they retreated, the great sun sword slashed down with an unparalleled aura and monstrous flames. Their armors were shattered and their bodies were split in half. Kill. Lin Xian roared, and various sword techniques were unleashed. The power was so terrifying that it made them despair. The 13 sages of the Great Desolate Mansion were terrified. Damn it. They finally understood why those people had such mocking expressions on their faces earlier. This kid's strength had actually become so strong. He was so strong that they felt despair. Lin Xian did not let the others attack. He attacked alone, and all kinds of nomological swords danced between heaven and earth. Not long after, the 13 powerful saints were all killed. All kinds of broken weapons were scattered all over the ground. Lin Xian withdrew his laws and stood with his hands behind his back. His body was spotless. Clean up the battlefield. Let's go. The dark red divine dragon waved its claws and grabbed their storage rings. Then everyone turned around and walked forward. In the rear, Yu stood in front of a rift valley and carefully sensed his surroundings. The canyon was split open by a single slash. The dazzling aura on it was extremely terrifying. It should have been left behind by the Lord. At this moment, Yu's eyes erupted with terrifying radiance. The aura of great desolation spread from his body. All sorts of laws intertwined. Suddenly, the expression of his subordinate beside him changed. In his hand was a spell formation with 13 dots of light on it, which instantly vanished and dimmed. Not good. He screamed in fright. Up ahead, Yu, who was comprehending, was interrupted. He turned around, his ice-cold eyes tearing through the void. That man continuously backed up. Young master, I didn't do it on purpose. It's just that the people we sent out all died. He knew that interrupting the other party was a matter of beheading. However, the situation right now was extremely dangerous. Dead. Yu's eyes erupted with biting cold killing intent. Did you say that all 13 of them were killed? Not a single one of them escaped? He really was surprised. With 13 people attacking together, just how terrifying was that? Could it be that Lin Wuti was already terrifying to this extent? Someone on the side said that Lin Wuti wasn't alone, that there were many experts at his side. There was Kunlun Pavilion's holy lady, as well as a Saint King's daughter. Perhaps it was them who took action, helping him. Not knowing the difference between life and death. Then I'll personally go. Yu waved his hand, bringing the people at his side forward. Soon after, they arrived at the previous mountain peak. When they saw the shattered armor and corpses in front of them, their faces became incomparably cold. What terrifying sword energy. When those saints saw the cracks in the surroundings as well as the remnant sword intent on the corpses, their faces were filled with horror. This sword energy is too biting cold. Why do I feel like it was done by the 10,000 Sword Pavilion's people? What kind of connection does Lin Wuti have with the 10,000 Sword Pavilion? Yu asked with a frown. The others said that shouldn't be the case. It was rumored that this unrivaled expert killed Heavenly Mountain's 7 swords, so there was no way he would join hands with the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Could it be that he did it himself? No wonder he was so arrogant. He had some strength. Later I'll use the great desolate blade to kill him. Yu's eyes blossomed with shocking light. It was time to display his strength. Let's go. He carried a cold smile, walking forward. 3 days later he caught up to the other party. You're Lin Wuti, right? Daring to kill my people, your guts aren't small. Kneel down now, become my subordinate, work for me, and I can consider leaving you with your life. Otherwise, you and your companions will all die. Yu's voice was incomparably cold. There were idiots every year, but there were especially many this year. Someone who didn't know the difference between life and death had come to throw his life away. The toad coldly snorted. The dark divine dragon also sneered. They didn't take it to heart. Lin Xian looked at the other party. You're Yu? You don't even put your older brother in your eyes, let alone you. If you don't want to die, then scram. You are courting death. Yu was furious. Not only did the other party look down on him, but he also dared to look down on his older brother. He was too arrogant and didn't know what was good for him. Do you know what kind of status my older brother has? My older brother is someone on the holy pilgrimage list. He can crush you to death with a single finger. The other saints of the great desolate mansion also snorted coldly. Lin Wuti, you are too arrogant. You don't know the difference between you and the geniuses on the holy pilgrimage list. Difference? Lin Xian's gaze said, I admit that they have lived a few hundred years longer, and there is a difference in cultivation. But so what? After the heaven's fate star left, I can ascend the holy pilgrimage list. Do you believe that I can replace your older brother? Lin Xian indeed had this kind of confidence. With his current strength, he could already contend against late-stage fifth heaven. When his cultivation increased a step further, it wouldn't be a problem for him to contend against little saints. Therefore he really wasn't boasting. Perhaps in the near future he could do it. When Yu and the others heard this, they laughed. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Did he know that the people on the holy pilgrimage list were all little saints? Moreover, they were extremely terrifying little saints. With just you. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.